We open on the kingdom of Grainwald. The sky is apocalyptic red, humanity's absolute last stand. They're holed up in a single castle, and the welcome party, a total monster mosh pit. Inside, the soldiers are barely holding on by a single thread, and that thread is already on fire. This poor kid is crying, not exactly a great sign for morale. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, dragons appear. One of them unleashes a massive fire blast right at the walls, leaving absolutely nothing behind but smoke and rubble. This monster army just waltzes right over the humans. They're treating these soldiers like they're nothing. A giant minotaur is casually picking up a guy like a squeaky toy. Fate is closing in, and it looks a lot like getting stabbed. In a burning hallway, this whole world is going up in flames. It really looks like humanity's official extinction event. But wait, inside a burning church, someone is calling for a patient. It's a makeshift hospital, packed with the wounded and the dying. A young healer is pouring out his energy, looking completely drained. But our boy Will rallies, yelling for more people to save. His buddy begs him to run because the gate's about to fall, pleading that a top-tier healer has no business on the front lines. Will just glares back. He's absolutely furious at the suggestion. Abandoning people, not a chance. He's convinced he can stop this. He's going to save humanity by just healing harder. You see, he's driven by the memory of a fallen hero. That hero believed in his power, and those final words are his burden. A hell of a weight for one person to carry. Snapping back to the present, Will hears his name shouted in desperation. He ignores the chaos and immediately asks where his master is. At that moment, the army's general is dragged in, missing an arm. His men are panicking, convinced the front line will collapse now. Will steps forward, declaring he will save the man. With a massive burst of green light, he yells it out. This is the whole reason he is even on the battlefield. He pours out a ridiculous amount of healing energy. Now watch closely, because this power is off the charts. He keeps asking for his master, completely ignoring the chaos exploding all around him. Right then, the army's general gets dragged in, missing an entire arm. His men are absolutely panicking, convinced the entire front line is about to collapse. Without their leader, they're finished. But then, Will steps forward, declaring he'll save him. A massive burst of green light erupts. He's yelling that this is why he's even here. He pours out a ridiculous amount of raw healing energy, putting everything he has into it. But that effort, that sacrifice, it suddenly feels totally meaningless to the man he's saving. The general slams a blade to Will's throat, growling he's done being a personal science project. His parting words are brutal. Humanity is screwed anyway, so fight your own battles. That blast is strong enough to knock the soldiers clean off their feet. Look at the general's arm. It's regenerating right there from the stump. Sinew and bone knit together in a sickening, rapid pulse. Then, in a blinding flash, it's perfectly reformed. The healing circle finally fades, leaving the general fully restored. After a tense moment, his eyes flutter open. He's back from the dead, and the troops erupt in cheers. The general just sits up, looking dazed and confused. Will leans in close for a weirdly intimate pep talk, telling him that victory is finally in their hands now. But the general's look isn't gratitude, it's pure disgust. His eyes narrow with a sudden, chilling intensity. Before Will can react, the general decks him with a solid right hook. This guy calls the miracle healing unnecessary while his own fist is shaking. Now Will is on the floor, completely baffled by that thank you punch. The other soldiers are just staring, totally lost and silent. But the general just roars at them to shut the hell up. His eyes glow with a terrifying, raw rage. He draws his sword, and it begins to hum with an ominous light. Will is still on the ground, struggling to process the hit. Then the general tries to straight up execute him right there. He's screaming that the arm Will just healed is a curse. Apparently, it's the only thing keeping him from a peaceful death. Now watch this. Everything Will thought he knew starts to crumble. He pins Will down, ranting that a backline healer knows nothing. He doesn't get the suffering they have to go through. The whole point, healing just means they go back to get maimed again. Turns out, these soldiers don't even want to be saved. They just want the fighting to stop once and for all. Will's entire hero complex shatters into a million jagged pieces. He looks around and sees that same empty despair on every face. They are all just broken, tired of this endless, bloody cycle. Our boy starts to wonder if his mission made things worse. All that effort, all that sacrifice, it suddenly feels totally meaningless. The general presses the cold blade right against Will's throat. He says he is done being Will's personal science project. He spits out the truth humanity is already screwed anyway. Fight your own damn battles, he warns, eyes burning with hate. And then he drops the ultimate diss on healers. Then he drops the ultimate insult, calling healers useless. Wait, a sudden shift. We're looking at an admissions guide from a magic academy. Our boy starts sweating buckets, finally realizing exactly what this means. He's been sent back 5 years into the past, way before the world actually ended. This is the very day a scholarship student famous for healing talent, though he's not quite as famous for his breaking and entering skills. Will can barely move as the general starts walking away. He begs him to stay. He knows the whole front line is about to collapse. Meanwhile, outside, a massive dragon is charging up. It's gathering energy for a goodbye castle beam. The creature fires it point blank at the wall they're sworn to defend. The blast rips through the stone like it's made of paper. Will just sits there in the dust, completely stunned. The general he just tried to save, instantly crushed. His final words were just a desperate run. So much for that motivational speech, right? All around them, soldiers are getting flattened, screaming everywhere as the ceiling finally caves in. Will snaps out of it, throwing up an arm to block the falling debris. His face twists from shock into pure, unfiltered rage, because he's finally seeing the dragon everyone else was dying to meet. He admits it to himself. Yeah, he really was just a spectator this whole time. He concludes his life's work in healing was a complete waste. Even his natural talent, like healing this puppy, feels totally useless now. That fancy title of world's greatest healer, it means nothing when you're about to be dragon food. All he can think is that he should have been fighting on the front lines. He grabs the first weapon he can find, a literal rock. With this newfound courage and his trusty geological armament, he squares up. He stands against the giant lizard, looking ready to get vaporized. It's the principle of the thing. The dragon is happy to oblige, opening its mouth for a snack. But then, time freezes. 2 cosmic drops appear, one red and one blue, floating in space. The blue one splashes down, signaling some kind of divine intervention. It feels like a system reboot. Now watch this. Will's eyes go wide. He suddenly wakes up in a bed. Sunlight is streaming through the window. He finds himself in a peaceful room, completely bewildered. Where is he? When is he? He spots an official-looking letter on his desk. It's an admissions guide from a magic academy. Our boy starts sweating, realizing what this means. He's been sent back 5 years into the past, right before the world ended. And today is the day it all starts over. Will just shrugs, claiming that dying once gives you a real confidence boost. But the headmaster is lost in despair, convinced there is no time left for anyone. That is when our boy drops the bombshell. He can cure her, right here, right now. Alnaram's eyes narrow immediately, demanding to know what the catch is. He enrolled long before he ever became the world's greatest healer. Now he's just standing there, lost in thought. Really, he should be out dragging food back home right now. He clutches the letter tight, still processing it all. He has no clue how this time travel thing actually works. But then it clicks. This must be his dying wish coming true. He crushed the paper in his fist. A whole new plan is already forming in his head. This time, he's enrolling in Schwartz Academia. He's going to learn offensive magic, which is a great plan. Except for the tiny detail that healers literally cannot use attack spells. That fundamental rule, He's dead set on completely shattering it. He's betting everything on his next move. His memories from the future are his biggest advantage. Plus, he has his maxed out healing skills to back him up. He plans to combine both lives to save the world. He's going to fight on the front lines himself. The first stop on his Preventing the Apocalypse tour, the prestigious Schwartz Academia, a place famous for its superior, elite education. Think of it as a boot camp for mages. The curriculum supposedly turns any student into a top-tier fighter. Get this, a hero he admired in his past life was an alum. Their teaching methods remain a closely guarded secret. That's a bit of a problem for him. He's pretty sure no healer has ever even tried to enroll here before. So much for keeping a low profile. But here's the kicker about the Academy's secret. Rich nobles can just buy their kids a spot. That's a massive problem for him right now. Since Will's past life fortune didn't exactly time travel with him, he's completely broke and can't even afford tuition. So much for that grand, heroic plan. Just then, a voice calls his name from the doorway. He looks up to see a woman standing there. It's his sister, looking way too cheerful. And more importantly, she's not dead. The reality of being back in the past finally sinks in. She's alive again. She asks if he's doing okay. He pulls the classic something in my eye excuse. They share a sweet good morning. A rare moment of peace before the coming chaos. But behind that smile, the gears in his head are turning. They're spinning at 1,000,000 miles an hour. He vows right then to prevent her future tragedy and save everyone. He failed before, and in that moment of crystal clarity, a brilliant, if probably terrible, idea strikes him hard. He grabs his sister's hands, thanks her for the inspiration, and leaves her totally bewildered, standing there in silence. Our boy just takes off running, promising to explain later. A classic hero move, right? Anyway, we get a quick lore drop. The Magic Academy Alliance, the big bosses of magical education. Turns out, the headmaster of Schwartz was their actual chairman. But this guy mysteriously vanished from public life. No one knows why. Will's new plan takes him straight to a very fancy, dark mansion. Late at night, peeking through a window, he spots an old man. Watching over a sick woman, she's clearly in bad shape. Sweating, struggling in her sleep, the old man gently touches her cheek. His face etched with worrying. This is Ilnurm Goldgrim, headmaster of Schwartz. He's holding his dying granddaughter, Marie, in the original timeline. He tearfully promises to find a cure, a promise he never keeps. He spends all his time by her bedside, completely helpless. See, the healing magic of this era is just totally useless. Against her illness, nothing works. In the end, she dies, leaving him completely broken. But that was the first timeline. Will's here to rewrite the script, making a grand entrance. Right through the window to ask if he can take a crack at it. The headmaster is baffled by this very dramatic home invasion. Turns out Ilnurm actually recognizes him. It's Will, the scholarship student famous for his healing talent, if not his Andy skills. Will just shrugs, saying dying once gives you a real confidence boost. But the headmaster is lost in despair, convinced there's no time left. That's when our boy drops the bombshell. He can cure her right here. Right now, Ilnurm's eyes narrow immediately, demanding to know the catch. But Will insists they can talk later because her condition is critical. You can see the sweat dripping. He is not faking the urgency. This old man just stares him down, weighing his very last hope. But Will insists they talk later because her condition is getting critical. You can see the sweat dripping. He is not faking this urgency at all. This old man just stares him down, weighing his last options. What's he supposed to learn if she refuses to teach him? She just scoffs, saying teaching a lowly healer is a complete waste of time. He begs to at least use the library, but she shuts that down too. Meanwhile, some blonde bully starts powering up behind him. Will flashes back to her sword-happy intro, finally connecting the dots. Seeing this as his perfect chance to ask for some one-on-one lessons, She just casually agrees, saying that's literally her job anyway. So he cuts right to the chase. How does a healer learn to blow stuff up? Her eyes glow, noting she sensed his weird mana flow earlier, finally realizing exactly who he is. With no options left, they finally give him the green light. Will sits down, focused, ready to pull off a miracle. It is the performance of a lifetime for an audience of one. Game face on, he knows his entire plan is toast if this fails. You can practically feel the headmaster's aura, do or die. That intense vibe is radiating across the room, heavy and sharp. The kid is feeling the heat, sweating under the pressure. But he reaches out, taking the girl's hand to begin the treatment. He unleashes a massive wave of healing energy. It lights up the entire mansion, blinding and pure. He knows his magic is weaker now, but his future knowledge, still perfectly intact, he holds the exact formula for her sickness, betting everything that his skills are enough to pull this off. It seems to be working because Marie's eyes flutter open. Just like that, she is sitting up, completely cured and confused. Will drops a hero-grade smile, telling her she is all good now. He throws in a smooth take it easy, making her blush like crazy. He looks a little awkward, while she buries her face in the pillow. Her grandfather immediately rushes over, stunned by what he is seeing. Marie confirms she hasn't felt this healthy in years. Ulnarum is completely overcome with emotion, tears welling up. And he just stands there, yep, I do miracles on Tuesdays. The view from outside captures the heartwarming reunion. All thanks to our boy's dramatic house call. Once things calm down, Ulnarum sits him down to properly thank him. He offers to grant any request, exactly what Will was waiting for. He starts his pitch, ready to make his move. He's already mastered healing, so he's not here to learn that. So he makes his big ask, let him enroll in Shura's Academy. The headmaster is baffled, asking why he'd waste such healing talent. But Will's response is dead serious. He knows exactly what he's doing. That look in his eyes is what sells it. A gaze that has seen way too much, even for his age. Ulnarum has a sudden epiphany, thinking his entire career is shifting. Something about this kid is different. Something that could change everything for the school. He realizes he is not just looking at a healer. He is looking at a force of nature in the making. The air in the room shifts as the decision is made. No more hesitation. The deal is practically sealed. Will's confidence hasn't wavered for even a second. He has played his cards, and he knows he is winning. A silent pact is formed in the quiet of the office. The path to his true goal is finally wide open. The academy is ready for him, whether they know it yet or not. Everything had been leading to this single, critical moment. Will just smirks. He knows exactly how to pull this off. The headmaster finally agrees, shaking his hand firmly. And just like that, his enrollment is officially approved. That handshake seals the deal, a binding promise between the old guard and the new kid. Meanwhile, a blue-haired faculty member is already fuming over the decision. She is openly complaining about the headmaster's choices to anyone who will listen. A sharp, evil smirk creeps across her face as she watches him. She wonders how a healer could possibly survive their brutal curriculum. Looking over his file, she scoffs. She has already made up her mind. In her eyes, he is just some pampered, weak-willed healer. Oh, if she only knew what he was really capable of. We cut to the entrance ceremony, fresh-faced students ready for day one. Headmaster Elnern stands before the crowd, commanding total silence. He looks every bit the legendary mage everyone says he is. The school's reputation precedes it, an elite academy for offensive magic. They boast a massive library and top-tier research labs. Not to mention an alumni network that basically runs the entire kingdom. Elnern tells the new students this is the best place in the world to train. He promises them power and will stand there in his new uniform. He is fully aware he is the first healer to ever attempt this. His mind flashes back to the dragon and the coming apocalypse. He is here for one reason, to prevent the end of everything. Standing there with the ghosts of his past, he is ready. It is finally time to rewrite his own tragic destiny. After enrollment, we jump straight into his first real class. Will already looks like he is having a miserable time. The instructor kicks things off with a simple, standard test. Just hit the training dummy. That is all they have to do. Another student steps up, demonstrating with a perfectly controlled fire spell. He looks every bit the prodigy everyone expects him to be. But when Will tries, his spell just fizzles into a sad puff of smoke. The instructor, that same blue-haired woman, walks over to him. She coldly informs him that he has failed the test again. Then she bans him from her class until he can perform a basic spell. Will reasonably asks how he is supposed to learn if she refuses to teach. But she just scoffs. Teaching a healer is a complete waste of her time. He begs to at least use the library, but she shuts that down too. You can feel the tension rising. This is going to be a long year. Behind him, some blonde bully starts powering up a massive blast. How's he supposed to learn anything if she refuses to teach him? She just scoffs. Teaching a healer, she says, is a total waste. He begs to at least use the library, but she slams that door too. Meanwhile, some blonde bully starts powering up right behind him. He flashes back to her sword-happy intro, connecting all the dots. That guy's got a grin that just screams future villain. Alpus blasts Will right in the back, yelling that he's in the way, sending our boy flying. Landing hard on the stone courtyard, this bully starts mocking him for not even being able to dodge, lecturing that this academy is no place for a weakling who can't defend himself, basically. It's Will's own fault for getting sucker punched. Victim blaming one-on-one, and the instructor actually sides, with Alpus suggesting Will should just go to a healing school instead. Alpus keeps piling on, sneering that the other healers can comfort him. They're leaving Will on the ground, a real taste of that superior academy life. After that, warm welcome, Will's just sighing on a bench. At night, admitting to himself that learning offensive magic is going absolutely nowhere. But look at that fire in his eyes. He's not about to quit. He knew this would be a struggle, but maybe not quite this brutal. We get a quick lore drop, healing and attack magic come from different power sources. Mages use formulas to convert their spiritual energy or mana into spells, and your mindset determines the nature of that mana. Basically, you've got active mana for explosions and passive mana for healers. No overlap, but Will's whole plan hinged on Schwartz having a secret method to refine active mana, figuring his insane control would let him convert his passive energy. He never imagined the school's official policy would be get out of my class, healer. Still, our boy gets to his feet, absolutely refusing to give up. He remembers a legend about someone who started with weak mana and became a hero here, which leads him to his next brilliant idea. He'll just sneak into the library, right on cue. A voice calls out, he's completely busted. He turns around, trying to look casual, but the panic is real and his eyes go wide when he sees who found him. Someone with very important looking shoes is approaching, followed by a close-up on a pair of ice gold, intimidating eyes revealing a woman in a white uniform who looks like she eats rule breakers for breakfast. At breakfast, Will is completely stunned, frozen solid. He recognizes her as Veronica. A memory hits him, a flashback of her. Back in his past life, she was a top-tier offensive mage he fought beside. And just like everyone else he cared for back then, she died in his arms. Seeing her breathing, alive again, it is a massive, painful gut punch. But she is already reaching for her magic sword. He remembers that blade. It could slice through literally anything. And right now, she is drawing it on him. Her logic is simple. Suspicious kid meets the pointy end of a sword. She demands to know if he is causing trouble or just training hard. Will panics. He knows she is not some dumb bully he can just ignore. He tries to play it cool, sweating bullets under that intense stare. Trying to break the ice, he calls her by her name, Veronica. She shuts him down instantly for being so informal with the teacher. This throws him. In his past life, she was basically his own age. Turns out she is a total prodigy who skipped a ton of grades. Now she is a professor. He quickly backpedals, trying to look impressed. He does his best to hide how totally bewildered he feels inside. Then a light bulb goes off. This is his golden chance. If anyone can teach him offensive magic, it is her. He straight up asks to join her class, demanding to know what it takes. Veronica explains she is not assigned to any classes yet. She is just an assistant instructor handling student questions. She adds that for some reason, nobody ever asks her anything. I wonder why. Will flashes back to her sword-happy intro. He connects the dots, seeing this as his perfect opening. He jumps on the opportunity to ask for one-on-one lessons. She just casually agrees. After all, that is literally her job. So he cuts right to the chase. How does a healer learn to blow stuff up? Her eyes glow, noting she sensed his weird mana flow earlier. Finally, she realizes he is that asterisk, the new student everyone is gossiping about. She confirms that a healer learning attack magic is basically unheard of. But Will lays out his whole plan about the school's secret. He sees this moment, this right here, as his chance. He asks her for some one-on-one lessons on the spot. She casually agrees, saying that is literally her job. He cuts right to the chase. How does a healer blow stuff up? Her eyes glow, noting she sensed his weird mana flow earlier. She finally realizes he is that strange outlier. She yanks his head back, lesson learned. She even asks if she was too rough. Well, he tries not to cry. Word is spreading like wildfire about the new student everyone is gossiping about. She confirms it. A healer training for attack magic is unheard of. But Will lays it all out, detailing his grand plan. He explains everything about the Academy's secret mana refining technique. Veronica admits the technique is real and says she can teach him. Oh boy is absolutely thrilled, thinking he has finally made his move. But then she shuts him down, saying it is still impossible. She explains his passive mana levels are just way too high, meaning any active mana he creates would get instantly neutralized. Will is crushed. He asks if there is really no way at all. She just shakes her head. Nope, his master plan is dead. But he's already vowing to invent his own method instead. He thanks her for her time and says he will figure it out. Walking away, he promises this is not over, not by a long shot. Just as he is leaving, Veronica stops him, saying there is a caveat. Will is completely lost, asking what the heck she is talking about. She starts a weird lecture with her sword, explaining it is for cutting. Then she points to a totally normal park bench, explaining it is for sitting. Thanks for the lesson, Professor. And then she casually lifts the bench. She holds it over her head, asking if it could be a weapon. Her point is simple. An object's purpose does not limit its use. She says this also applies to her hands, and then demonstrates. She gently caresses his face, making our boy blush instantly. He is clearly not prepared for this level of personal space invasion. But then she immediately yanks his head back. Lesson learned. Now watch this. Here is where the gears in his head start turning. She even asks if she was too rough while he tries not to cry. Her whole point is that anything is a weapon if you are creative. That gives Will a massive epiphany, using healing magic to attack. Veronica just smirks, knowing she just dropped a total bomb on him. She admits she never considered it because of how different mana types are. Attack mana and healing mana just do not get along. But she tells him he is a special case, revealing his mana is not purely one thing. Her whole point, anything can be a weapon if you are creative. That gives him a massive epiphany, using healing magic to attack. Veronica just smirks, knowing she just dropped a bomb on him. She admits she never considered it because the mana types differ. Basically, Attack mana and healing mana just do not get along. But she tells him he is a special case, revealing his mana as mixed. He turns to the instructor, cheerfully asking to join her class now. She's absolutely seething, but grits out that he can do whatever. He gives her the most trolltastic smile, thanking her for the chance. He just casually walks off, leaving total chaos in his wake. As he goes, he is replaying that new feeling of power in his head. His own style of offensive magic worked way better than imagined. He acts like a passive healer, but will suddenly realizes his regression might have changed his very nature. Veronica holds her sword to his throat, dead serious, telling him he needs to recognize the gap. Will just holds up one finger, calm and collected, clarifying he is not forfeiting at all. He has a proposal, and it is one she really cannot ignore. His own power is demanding he find the aggressive force hiding within him. It's promising that if he can, his healing magic will shatter his enemies. He's still processing this revolutionary idea during the morning assembly. The instructor's teaching style is, to put it mildly, a bit hands-on. Flashback to her throwing benches and yanking students by their heads. He's amazed she'd even entertain a theory connecting healing and raw offense. His old instructor calls out, "Hey healer," because names are for people she respects. She announces one-on-one mock battles, and thanks to an odd number, Will has to join. She adds that if he gets destroyed, it's his own fault for being useless. With a truly sinister grin, she says she's already decided the pairings. And of course, Will is matched against Alpus, the resident blonde bully. Will just deadpans at how painfully obvious this rigged setup is. But there's a new glint in his eye, a flicker of real determination. As Alpus and his two sycophants look on with maximum smugness, Will has to admit it. The guy is a genuinely skilled mage, no doubt about it. Alpus launches into a tirade, asking if Will's gonna cry for his mommy after he's done. That just earns him a very strained, twitchy smile from our boy. Will thinks his past self would have ignored this, but now it's seriously pissing him off. So he raises his hand, telling the instructor he wants to test a theory. He wants to hit back, just a little. Will holds up a finger, clarifying he's not forfeiting. He has a proposal. He admits he knows he's got no talent for offensive magic, so he makes a deal. If he loses this fight, he will drop out of the academy for good. The instructor's face lights up with a truly evil grin, calling it a wise decision. So supportive of her, but in exchange, if he wins, he gets to join her class. A condition that completely short-circuits her brain. Alpus immediately starts running his mouth, calling Will a weakling clinging to a fantasy. He adds that it's no fun for him if there's nothing to completely crush. With a weary facepalm, the instructor dismisses the idea of him winning. It's a total waste of time, she says. Admitting he knows he has zero talent for offensive magic, he makes a bold deal. If he loses this fight, he drops out of the academy for good. The instructor's face lights up with a truly evil grin, calling it a wise decision. She is so supportive of her student, but in exchange, if he wins, he gets to join her class. A condition that completely short-circuits her brain. Alpus immediately starts running his mouth, calling Will a weakling clinging to a fantasy. He adds that it is no fun at all if there is nothing for him to completely crush. With a weary facepalm, the instructor dismisses the idea of him winning as a total waste of time. That borrowed blade now shines with his own brilliant, hidden power. Other students are completely losing their minds trying to process what they just saw. Will notes that nobody can even tell he is not using attack magic at all. This just sends Alpus into a full-blown rage, charging in recklessly. He is screaming that he was holding back before, summoning even more floating knives. He unleashes the whole arsenal, convinced a healer cannot possibly win this fight, but Will just weaves through the storm of steel like it is nothing. She barks the command, both fighters take their positions. With a dramatic swing of her arm, the match is officially on. Alpus immediately flares his mana, that signature golden energy. It swirls around him as he summons a ring of glowing daggers. They circle him like a deadly halo, humming with raw power. Proudly, he boasts that his magic will turn Will into a pincushion. Then the blades rain down, a literal storm of pointy death. They head straight for our boy, but Will doesn't even flinch. He just stands there totally calm, his hands clasped together. A green magic circle ignites between his fingers. It looks suspiciously like a simple healing spell, right? But wait for it, his eyes snap open, glowing with an intense green light. Suddenly, he is moving so fast he's just a blur. He dodges every single knife with truly impossible speed. Opus is completely floored, his smug grin wiped right off his face. Will explains that his magic isn't just about healing. It is life manipulation, letting him supercharge a target's own life force. He isn't just fixing wounds, he is weaponizing life force itself. That revelation has Opus absolutely fuming, screaming that it's just a fluke. But Will is already casting again, green energy spiking from his body. It wraps around him like armor as he calmly plucks a dagger from midair. He starts using that borrowed blade to parry the rest of the volley. The entire attack clatters uselessly onto the arena floor. He faces Opus with a grin, calling his timing perfect. Will starts pouring his own mana into that captured knife. With a killer smile, he says he is just borrowing this. The blade suddenly shines with his own brilliant, surging power. The other students are losing their minds, trying to process it all. Will just notes that nobody can tell he is not using attack magic. That realization sends Opus into a full-blown rage. He charges in recklessly, screaming that he was holding back before. He summons even more knives, unleashing his entire arsenal. He is convinced a healer cannot possibly win this fight. But Will, he just weaves through the chaos like it is nothing. He is the clear winner, and he turns to the instructor with a cheerful look. Asking about joining her class, he catches her off guard. She's absolutely seething, but she grits out that he can do whatever he wants now. Will gives her the most troll-tastic smile, thanking her for the opportunity. He just casually walks off, leaving total chaos in his wake. As he goes, he is replaying that new feeling of power in his head. His own style of offensive magic worked way better than he ever imagined. And it is all thanks to Veronica's unique teaching style. The mana freezes into a giant, spiky ice formation right there on the floor. The kid who messed up looks absolutely terrified. The instructor immediately starts yelling at him, but the student just stammers in panic. Still storming everywhere, it is like a deadly dance. Before Opus even blinks, our guy is right in his face. The bully starts panicking, totally losing his cool. He is shouting that it is not just about quantity. Prep for another spell, his new plan. Summoning one massive, burning sword to end this. Will watches calmly, admitting that for a Labmoth, the guy has skills. Opus decides his giant blade is not extra enough. He adds rotation, launching that flaming drill right at Will. You would think that is the end, right? Not even close. Will just stops it cold with one hand, no big deal. That completely short-circuits Opus's entire brain. Oh boy is definitely gritting his teeth, putting in the work. Holding that massive force back while the bully keeps screaming. Unable to process this reality, Will considers a quick buff. Just a little extra push to turn the tide. Then, with one final shove, he shatters that ultimate attack into dust. That leaves Opus standing there, his entire worldview crumbling. Suddenly, Will is right behind him, promising to heal him. It sounds more like a threat, and he promptly follows through, stabbing the guy with that borrowed knife. His eyes look totally cold as he twists the blade for good measure. Will zips away, leaving the bully to contemplate his life choices. Opus just collapses to the ground, utterly defeated. But before anything else happens, a massive earth wall erupts. The instructor finally steps in, yelling that the match is over. Will stands over his fallen rival, the undisputed winner. He turns to the instructor, cheerfully asking about joining her class. She's absolutely seething, but grits out that he can do whatever. Will gives her the most trolltastic smile, thanking her for the opportunity. Now watch this, he just casually walks off, leaving chaos in his wake. As he goes, he is replaying that new feeling of power. His own style of offensive magic worked way better than he imagined. And it is all thanks to Veronica's unique teaching. It is all thanks to Veronica's unique training. Into a giant spiky ice formation on the floor. This kid who messed up looks absolutely terrified. The instructor immediately starts yelling at him, but the student just stammers that he did not mean to. Will watches it all, realizing he is ready for whatever comes next. The path ahead is dangerous, but for once, he is not afraid. This is his world now, and he is just getting started. He takes a deep breath, feeling that strange mono hum in his chest. No turning back now. Not when he finally found the key to his own true strength. After all that life coaching, our boy is practically glowing. He can finally see a clear path to becoming a real fighter. A new day dawns at the academy, full of real possibilities. And probably more bullying, too. Meanwhile, Alpus tries to save face, calling his own brutal beatdown a mere class accident. Sure, buddy. He then suddenly threatens the instructor directly. He is name-dropping his powerful dad, basically telling her to make this right or else, with a sharp push of her glasses. She confirms she gets the message loud and clear. Her evil little smirk, it really says it all for us. She is not about to let a healer get away with this. Later, Will finally takes his seat in his new offensive magic class. He is ready to soak up every single lesson like a sponge. But then the door swings open, and guess who the teacher is? This instructor gives him a look that could curdle milk. She's absolutely radiating that I cannot believe you are here energy. She kicks off the lesson on creating magic tools, which gives Will a sudden, sharp hit of nostalgia from his old school. Today's project is making ice bombs, which sounds perfectly safe. Honestly, what could go wrong with a class full of teenagers? She starts passing out the materials, telling everyone to get to work. Will notes that in his past life, he only ever made healing items, but he figures this class is more about materials than mana. Even a healer like him should be able to handle it. Inside the bag are an ice golem fragment and flame tree powder. The instructions say to mix the two volatile ingredients together. As he holds up the crystal, it begins to glow quite ominously. Suddenly, his eyes snap wide with alarm because another student's project just went completely haywire, blasting a massive wave of ice. Magic erupts across the classroom, forming a giant spiky ice formation. This kid who messed up looks absolutely terrified right now. The instructor immediately starts yelling, but the student stammers an excuse. He claims it just went off on its own, but she isn't listening. She is not hearing any excuses, immediately docking his grade. So supportive, Will just watches this whole exchange with a thoughtful look, while two other students in the back are just laughing. He steps forward, eyes set on the horizon, ready to prove that even a healer can change the game. One step at a time, he is rewriting his own destiny, and nobody is going to stand in his way again. It just went off on its own. She isn't hearing any excuses. She immediately docks his grade. Will just watches this whole exchange with a thoughtful look. Meanwhile, two other students are just laughing at him. Dumped at his door, the dorm supervisor informs him he gets no dinner. After the kid fails, one of them, a blonde guy, flashes a truly nasty grin. Our boy suddenly picks up on a dark, ominous presence filling the room. That disaster of a lesson finally ends, and it is time for the next class. Magical creatures featuring a very cute salamander sitting right there in a cage. He finds himself just staring down the surprisingly cute lizard in its enclosure. Then the new teacher announces that the bad students need to sit up front. Guess who is the only one sitting there? Our boy is a little freaked out. Being this close to a magical creature feels wrong, and his gut is right. It tries to barbecue him, so he blocks the flames with a cooking pot. The teacher is just baffled, asking why he has a pot in the first place. Will just says it seemed necessary, so naturally, the teacher confiscates his only defense. Safety first, I guess. Our boy looks back at the fire lizard, finally connecting dots. Now watch this. He realizes they are just setting him up to fail. They are not trying to teach him anything at all. He is stuck here. He wonders how he is even supposed to get through this class alive. He spots a girl sitting a few desks away, looking at him with actual concern. Suddenly, that same blonde jerk from before accidentally sets his own hair on fire. Whoops, the teacher then calls on our boy for a problem he has never seen. Points get docked for not knowing the answer. Talk about peak education. After class, he gets back to his room, only to find trash dumped at his door. The dorm supervisor informs him he gets no dinner, all as punishment for misbehaving. Back in his room, the full weight of the situation starts to sink in. He just collapses onto his bed, realizing literally everyone here is out to get him. He has got a whole mountain of crap to climb just to survive. But he is not about to give up. He reminds himself he is making progress. He remembers that for the first time, he fought his own fight and won. That win has him fired up, ready to become a real offensive mage. After snagging a textbook, he is ready to hit the books and get stronger. Except, he is the only one who actually shows up for the class. It is awkward. He waits and waits, but no one else is coming. That is his punishment for misbehaving. Back in his room, the full weight of the situation starts to sink in. He just collapses onto his bed, realizing literally everyone here is out to get him. He has got a whole mountain of crap to climb, but he is not about to give up. He reminds himself he is still making progress, remembering that for the first time he fought his own fight and actually won. That win has him fired up, ready to become a real offensive mage. After snagging a textbook, he is ready to hit the books, except he is the only one who shows up for class. Awkward, he waits and waits. The school is a total nightmare for someone with his talent. The teacher is a complete no-show until he realizes something. He's not exactly alone here, and something feels like a setup. Deciding this is a total waste of his time, he gets up. Ready to leave, he walks right over to the other student. Startling her, he asks if she thinks they got swapped classrooms. She just looks at him, totally deadpan, like he's crazy. "You're the school pariah. Of course they ditched you," she says. Then she adds that she's an outcast too, wearing a strange smile. A sudden proposal. They should team up as fellow loners. Will's just happy to finally make a friend in this place, extending his hand with a massive, genuine grin. She gets completely flustered, barely managing to shake on it. With that, he officially meets Erica Glenn. Oh boy is thrilled. He's finally gotten a lie at this literal hell of a school. Even as she brings up that whole healers are weak thing again. She admits she's a loner, even though she's an offensive mage. It reminds Will just how deep the prejudice here really runs. In his old life, he was a celebrated hero, not a target. But now, he knows studying here means fighting that system daily. Erica is caught completely off guard by his friendly attitude. She straight up asks him why he'd even come to a place like this. Will starts to explain his whole deal, getting real honest. He says being born a healer is no excuse to just give up. Then he flips the script, asking Erica for her own story. With a knowing smile, he listens. Turns out she is from a minor noble family. Her parents were stressed, mostly because they never had a son. To carry on the family name, they needed an heir. As a kid, she'd overhear them worrying constantly about their legacy. Their big plan was for her to become a top-tier offensive mage. Will immediately gets it. Graduating here is her only real shot. But Erica admits she has almost zero natural talent, making school a total, absolute nightmare for her. With a little smirk, Will points out that she just made a friend. That simple comment seems to completely break her brain. She's suddenly thrilled, thinking his failure will make her look better. What a pal they have, such a cute little moment. They agree to help each other out, standing side by side. But then Will gets this wicked, sharp look in his eyes. With a little smirk, Will points out that she just made a friend, which seems to break her brain. She is suddenly thrilled, thinking his failure will make her look better. What a pal! They have a cute little moment agreeing to help each other. But Will gets this wicked look. Even the blonde jerk is screaming that he got it right. His mind is totally blown. He flashes a grin, "Don't count me out just yet." He takes the lead, ready for whatever comes next. They need to find that classroom, marked with the star. And so the outcast duo heads off on their first official mission. After a bit of searching, they finally track down the right door. The instructor spots them right away and calls them out for being late. Erica stammers out an apology, but Will just smirks at the room. The class is full of smug bullies just waiting to tear them apart. This instructor isn't having any of it. She's already fed up with them. With a nasty little smirk, she decides to make an example out of them. She calls Will up to the board to solve a problem. A total setup. Erica immediately panics, whispering that he's barely stepped foot in class. But Will just gives her that "don't worry about it" look. The teacher lays it out. "Get it right, or you fail." So generous. Of course, the blonde bully is eating this up, already celebrating Will's demise. Will doesn't say a word. He just walks up to the front. He grabs a piece of chalk and prepares to face that impossible problem. Erica watches in total horror, thinking he's walking straight into the lion's den. The bully scoffs, betting he's just guessing his way through a pointless struggle. Then Will starts writing, and the chalk begins to glow with raw magic. Now pay attention. This is where he completely flips the script. He doesn't just solve it, he completes the entire magic circle perfectly. Turning back to the teacher, he asks if he got it right, smug as hell. The instructor is absolutely floored, standing there speechless at what just happened. Her eyes are wide with utter disbelief at his sheer level of skill. Even that blonde jerk is screaming because he actually got it right. His mind is totally blown while Will just strolls back to his seat. He sits down next to a shell-shocked Erica. She immediately demands to know how in the world he pulled that off. Suddenly, the whole class is whispering his name. The outcast is the main event. Erica's mind is completely reeling, asking how he possibly solved that problem. Will just casually says he studied ahead, which basically breaks her brain. She absolutely loses it, freaking out that he read the textbook all by himself. Will just strolls back to his seat next to a shell-shocked Erica. She immediately asks him how in the world he pulled that off. Suddenly, the whole class is whispering his name. The outcast is now the main event. Erica's mind is completely blown, asking how he possibly solved that problem. Will just casually says he studied ahead, which breaks her brain. She absolutely loses it, freaking out that he read the textbook all by himself. An aneurysm later, that same bully corners the instructor, demanding to know what just happened. But the teacher just blows him off, saying he does not care how Will did it. So the bully pulls the ultimate rich kid move. A flashback shows him burning the midnight oil, buried in books. He only cracked them open yesterday, but he is grinding hard. Turns out this textbook is basically the Holy Grail. A total shortcut for offensive mages to level up fast. Even without natural talent, those old study habits from his past life gave him a massive edge, and honestly, he is enjoying it. He actually pulled an all-nighter, which is wild to think about. It just makes Erica feel even worse than she already did. She is sputtering, convinced the material is way too hard. She admits she thought he was a total dropout until now. Then the panic hits. If he is actually smart, does that mean she is the new target? Will calmly puts a hand on her shoulder, promising to teach her anything she needs to catch up. He reminds her with a warm smile that they are friends. And Erica just melts into a puddle of grateful tears. What a total emotional roller coaster for her right now. Internally, Will admits an ally like her will be pretty useful. She is still just vibing on the word friends, clueless. But he has a favor to ask in return. Since class is about way more than just reading lectures, He brings up the practical magic training he was banned from. He failed so many times, but here is the plot twist. He still cannot actually use basic offensive magic at all. But our guy gets that classic glint in his eye. He tells Erica that this is exactly where she comes in. Before you know it, the students are all lined up outside for their practical training and Will stands among them, ready for the next big test to begin. Now watch this. Here is how the magic really works. In Magic 101, there is the basic stuff, and then there is your own special brand of power. Basic magic is like a recipe anyone can follow. Just follow the formula to get predictable results. But unique magic, that is your own personal flavor of chaos. Like this guy with his flying dagger collection. The school teaches both, separating the cookie-cutter mages from the truly special snowflakes. Will figures he can slide into the unique class, since his offensive healing does not have a textbook answer. But a new, very smug instructor points out the catch. He still has to pass the basic class first. This guy is just loving it, spelling out the rules clearly. If Will cannot do the basics, he is out of the program. Will just calmly agrees, not looking too worried. For a guy currently on the absolute chopping block, it is the same old song and dance, make a fireball, hit the target, and the instructor gets all buddy-buddy, reminding him that this is a pass or fail forever kind of deal. He brings up how Sing was using healing magic during that mock battle, mentioning the rumor that it acts like some kind of super steroid for the body. But it all comes back to the same problem. He still cannot cast a simple, basic offensive spell. This instructor just tells him to get out, but Will gives him this little smirk which totally throws the guy. The teacher is reeling. Is he actually laughing at me? His eyes go wide, completely baffled by this kid's audacity. And then bam, Will's hand is suddenly on fire, leaving the teacher standing there absolutely speechless. Internally, Will is just relieved his little trick is working. We flash back to him and Erica alone in the classroom, hatching a plan, revealing she created the fireball for him. It is a magic handoff, a secret infusion. She tucked her fireball into a salamander's tail, then used his own healing magic to keep it from burning up. When Erica asks if it hurts, he is just like, pain is only a suggestion when you can heal. She is completely stunned, finally wondering who he really is. Right before the big reveal, he hit the tail's flame sack, with more healing to make it pop. Back in the present, the fireball erupts, looking totally authentic. It is a perfect textbook offensive spell, at least on the surface. Will turns to the instructor with the smuggest grin ever, asking if he passed. This teacher's brain is just blue screening, unable to compute. Through gritted teeth, he tells Will that he passes. Our boy just gives a polite, little thank you. In the crowd, Erica and the others are having a meltdown, while the blonde bully looks like he is about to have an aneurysm. Later, that same bully corners the instructor, demanding to know exactly what just happened. But the teacher just blows him off, saying he does not care. So the bully pulls the ultimate rich kid move, threatening to have his dad shut the entire class down. You won't believe how this power trip ends. The teacher just stares him down. He isn't afraid of any daddy's money. The bully is left speechless. And he just keeps on winning. The instructor goes down, and he is absolutely terrified. This is way over his head. He caves immediately. He tells the kid to do whatever he wants. Just get out. Mission accomplished, the bully storms off and leaves him alone. The teacher is spiraling now, realizing his entire career is gone. It is all over some petty student beef, and he knows it. He decides he has to take risks to protect his job. He cannot let this upstart healer ruin his life like this. The instructor is having a full-on villain moment right now. He refuses to let a kid cost him his professional future. With a sinister glint in his eye, he decides to handle this. He calls Will out to the courtyard for a little chat. He points out Will's recent confidence, and it is no compliment. Then he lists every single class Will has missed lately. He asks how Will could possibly make all that up. Will's face screams that he wonders whose fault it really was. He explains he got help from a classmate and studied alone. So no biggie, right? But the teacher just shuts that down. He says makeup lessons are mandatory. And guess who is in charge? Yep, him. This lesson is a mock battle against the instructor. Will is a little thrown, a teacher fighting a student. That seems like way too much. But this guy offers a handicap? Land one single hit and you pass. How incredibly generous. Our boy just stands there, thinking over this totally fair deal. The instructor boasts that Will never even get close. He is on a whole power trip, promising to beat respect into him. Will just calmly agrees to the fight, not the reaction he wanted. The teacher gets a wicked grin, thinking he has already won. Without wasting a second, he powers up, ready to throw down. Will remembers this guy's magic from the last mock battle. The earth-shattering kind, right, and it starts on cue. The ground begins breaking apart right beneath Will's feet. Huge pillars of earth erupt from the ground in an instant. Will is barely dodging these crazy fast, heavy attacks. He is flipping and weaving, just trying to stay ahead. Honestly, he is looking seriously outmatched for the first time. Then, another massive slab of rock tears through the air. Will recognizes the guy's magic from the mock battle. That earth-shattering power is back, and hitting hard. The ground starts cracking right beneath Will's feet. Massive pillars of stone erupt out of nowhere. Will is barely dodging these insane, wild attacks. He's flipping and weaving just to stay alive. For the first time, he looks truly outmatched. Another slab of rock smashes down like a meteor. The blade nearly takes his head off while the teacher just smirks, asking if running is all he has. Will realizes this guy isn't casting magic, he is actively weaponizing the ground itself, right on cue. A spike shoots up where he was just standing. But Will notes the attacks are predictable, not impossible. To dodge, he leaps over a whole field of deadly earth spikes, so the instructor decides to stop playing. He activates a huge magic circle, and suddenly, too, giant walls of earth close in, boxing Will in completely. The teacher just watches, thinking he has got this in the bag. For good measure, he even summons a full-on earth golem around himself. Total overkill. But from above, Will dives in with a glowing sword, catching him by surprise, his eyes blazing. He brings the blade down with everything he has, slamming it right into the golem's head. And it just stops, not even making a dent. This rock armor is proving way too tough, sending him flying back. The instructor mocks him, laughing at how he is too weak to break his iron wall. So humble, this instructor. He scoffs at his imitation, offensive magic, calling it a laughable attempt from a feeble healer. But Will starts a whole anatomy lecture right there, explaining that the body has natural limiters to stop it from breaking itself. This teacher just cuts him off. Not here for some lecture. Will just keeps going, explaining that removing those limiters would destroy him. But since he is a healer, who cares if his arm breaks? He will just fix it. The instructor's face just absolutely freezes in horror as Will casually walks forward, ready to test that unbreakable armor. He powers up his fist with a crazy grin, going full self-destruct mode. That makes the teacher finally lose his smug composure. Now watch this. One supercharged punch straight to the golem's face. This iron wall just shatters, sending the instructor reeling, leaving Will to stand over him and drop a lesson about not underestimating his students. Internally, he thanks another professor for the idea, realizing his own potential even as his hand trembles from the sheer power he just unleashed. But Will turns to walk away, feeling pretty victorious. Then he hears it, the grinding sound of rock shifting right behind him. The instructor is back on his feet, looking absolutely livid. That guy shoves his glasses up, eyes glowing with pure rage. This fight is far from over. Will turns back just in time. He hears the commotion behind him and reacts instantly. He dodges a surprise earth attack by a hair. The instructor has recovered, standing tall again. He looks absolutely unhinged, glaring with pure fury. He makes it clear the lesson is definitely not finished. Will calmly reminds him about their one-hit passing deal. But the teacher just screams back, "No witnesses means the rules change." He doesn't care about the deal anymore. His pride is so shattered he can't handle losing to a healer. Watch this, he throws a total tantrum, unleashing another massive spell. He channels a huge earth attack right at Will. Will just smirks, revealing a secret. His limiter release isn't just for his fists. He channels that raw power straight into his legs. Speed boost active. He's moving like a total blur. He dances around the attacks with ease. The instructor is completely stunned by such sudden speed. Before the guy can even blink, Will is right in his face. He tells the teacher that his rock armor is just too slow now. The teacher's eyes narrow. He realizes he's been outplayed again. Pupils shrinking in pure disbelief. This isn't happening. It can't be happening. Will's fist hangs just an inch from his face. A total power move, freezing the air between them. A silent promise of exactly what is coming next. Then it connects, and time itself seems to slow to a crawl. Will keeps that cold, steady look. He tells him to stop resisting. The teacher realizes the pain isn't just a quick hit. Will's punch is making that pain last for an eternity. The instructor is trapped in that single, agonizing moment. He can't even scream properly. He is literally begging for the misery to end. Will just holds the pose, steady as a rock. Finally, he lets go, sending the teacher flying across the yard. He hits the ground with a very satisfying thud. Will stands there, a calm healing aura around him. He cheerfully calls out, "Welcome back." The instructor is completely broken, gasping, asking what just happened. So Will just smiles and offers him a hand. So, like any top student, Will pulls a fast one. He casts sensory enhancement magic right at the perfect moment. Usually a healing spell, but he flipped the script. He used the flow to boost his own reflexes. He basically overclocked the spell to insane levels. On the teacher, 1 second feeling like 1,000. Clutching his shoulder, the guy is finally getting it. Getting the message about how that pain really feels. So Will gets right in his face with a look. The creepiest smile, asking if he passed the lesson then. Grabs him by the shoulders for a little heart-to-heart, casually mentioning that while prejudice is hard to fix, getting in his way is honestly a bad idea. If he tries it again, Will makes him feel that. All over again, a promise, not a threat. This teacher is sweating buckets, finally understanding the reality. He messed with the wrong healer, while Will asks for his request to be granted with a friendly smile. Totally not threatening, of course. Later that day, as the sun sets, this instructor walks alone, haunted by that encounter with Will, totally shaken up. His whole worldview shattered, realizing the truth. Healers are not the weaklings everyone keeps claiming. They are dangerous. This instructor is still haunted, picturing Will as some combat demon with pure intent. Elsewhere, a blonde student peeks around a corner, spotting a long-haired professor in the hall. With a super punchable grin, he asks if the lesson ended. This guy is just giddy, thinking Will is doomed, thinking he is one step closer to getting expelled. What a great friend. This professor, however, is not having it, and just screams at him to shut up right now. Her eyes glowing, she gets right in his face, telling him, in no uncertain terms, to leave Will alone. It is a warning for his own safety, honestly. Massive mistake to underestimate a healer like that. This little brat just pushes back, pulling a move. The classic "I am going to tell my daddy" move. But she is completely unimpressed, telling him to go ahead. She calls his bluff, If his family had pull, he would not need her to do his dirty work. She warns that it is far more likely that Will is the one who is actually dangerous, the one who is going to come after him later. With that final mic drop, she turns and leaves him. He stands there, completely shut down and left all alone. That little rich kid is throwing a total tantrum. He punches the wall, left just seething in pure rage. In the hallway, he's been completely outplayed. A few days later, classes just ended, and our boy is stretching out, totally relaxed now that his bully problem is finally handled. Will figures the professor dealt with that blonde bully who just suits him. Dirty looks from across the room. A classmate is talking, but Will is already thinking way ahead. He's not satisfied with just this. He's stuck. Remembering that dark, apocalyptic future, he realizes he needs so much more power to actually change anything, while the girl next to him is just sparkling. Will's busy critiquing himself, knowing his brute force strategy really needs a major upgrade. Still thinking his sensory magic is a party trick, he tracks down that long-haired professor for advice. She turns out to be the truly intimidating Professor Veronica. He lays out his thoughts, asking for her take, and she just listens for a moment before she speaks. Oh boy is looking a little nervous about the verdict, but then she just smiles, catching him off guard. She says he did great, revealing he has become the talk of the faculty for surviving as a healer. She admits most of the other teachers are salty about it. Will asks if she's in trouble for helping him out, but she just doesn't talk to anyone, which makes him realize she's basically an outcast among the staff too. He's actually relieved, thanking her again for the advice that started it all. She brushes it off, saying she's the one who should be grateful because most healers wouldn't have the guts to try her. Crazy theories. Then she whips out her sword. This is not your normal teacher-student interaction. She admits she was curious to see a real fighting healer in action. Will is understandably freaking out, asking what the hell she's doing, but she just says he wanted advice, and this is exactly how he's going to get it. He tries to call a timeout, but she reminds him that the battlefield doesn't have any of those. Now look, here is where it gets absolutely intense. Before he can even process the threat, she is on him. A total blur of motion, swinging with terrifying precision. Will has no choice, fight or get crushed right now. In a flash lesson to kicks off, and Will is instantly scrambling for his life. Professor Veronica is already bearing down on him with a glowing sword. No warm-up, she just attacks, forcing Will to barely block the strike. His own blade is already cracking under the sheer pressure of her assault. He is on the defensive now, dodging a flurry of lethal attacks. Even with his sensory magic cranked to the max, he is barely keeping up. Veronica is fast, but it is her flawless technique that really stings. Oh boy is already gasping for air, realizing he cannot win a battle of endurance. He needs to pull out a move she will never see coming. Will stomps the ground, channeling his limiter release power into his legs. He launches himself into the air, flipping right over her head. A flicker of genuine surprise finally breaks through the professor's stoic mask. In that split second, Will snatches her sword clean out of her hand. He turns her own weapon against her in a lightning-fast counterattack. His eyes are locked on the target, completely focused on the win. He stops the blade just an inch from her throat, a perfect disarm. Will just grins, feeling like he crushed this pop quiz. But Veronica is already holding her sheathed sword again, completely unfazed. She is actually impressed, admitting he forced her to use her magic sword. The professor praises his top-tier skills, but Will knows it is not enough. Veronica likes his ambition, seeing he is not satisfied with just raw power. Will admits his limiter release has its own set of frustrating limits. Now watch this. Veronica pushes him to think outside the box. She tells him to rethink how he handles both his sword and his magic. She explains that he has the theory down, but zero real-world experience. She asks if he learned anything from getting his butt handed to him. Will asks if they should keep sparring, but she has a better idea. Monster subjugation training. This triggers a memory for our boy. The Joint Academy training from his past life is coming back now. It introduces the edgy offensive magic kids from the rival Shore's academia. And of course, the classic I am a healer please trope follows soon after. But this guy isn't satisfied with just physical power. Will admits his limiter release has some pretty clear limits. Veronica tells him to think outside the box. Stop relying on just his sword or just his magic. She points out he has the theory but zero real-world experience. Then she asks a sharp question to test his focus. Did he learn anything from getting his butt handed to him? Will asks if they should just keep sparring here. She shakes her head. She has a much better idea. Monster subjugation training is the only way forward. This triggers a vivid memory for our guy here. The Joint Academy training from his past life. Introducing the edgy offensive magic kids from Shore's academia. He realizes he is a healer, and he loves it. The Do Not Hit Me squad from Hyliac Academia. And finally, the sword nerds from Silvern Swordsmanship. Students from all three schools are linking up. They're taking on real quests they couldn't touch before. Will is all in. He's got a future to prevent. He's practically vibrating, ready for his first real monster hunt. Professor Veronica just watches him, stoic as ever. Before dropping the catch, he has to pass a selection exam. She mentions a supposed prodigy in his year he will have to handle. Speak of the devil, some huge guy with shades is chilling on a bench. Veronica tells him to aim for first place. The new guy makes a dramatic Earth Path entrance. Subtlety clearly isn't his strong suit. Will flashes back to the monsters he has to face. His resolve hardens, fist clenching, ready to prove himself. He asks what the test is, and she just lays it out. You fight each other, of course, a battle royale. Veronica explains the test is a total meat grinder. Only the strongest get picked. Will wonders if his old school could even fill a roster. He gets a little nostalgic for a moment, wondering how his old mentor is doing. But Veronica snaps him back to reality. She warns him about a prodigy already outclassing the teachers. Our boy asks if she has ever actually met the superstar. She says the kid has a dedicated handler, so she stays away. Will knows that is not the only reason. Then she offers to train him personally. Terrifying and amazing. He's absolutely ecstatic, thanking her like he just won the lottery. A few days later, it is exam time. The venue is a massive, intimidating coliseum. Will walks in alone, ready for whatever they throw at him. He has got his game face on, feeling as prepared as he's ever been. Suddenly, a giant foot steps into frame. It makes him look like a total ant. It is terrifying and, honestly, pretty amazing to watch. He's absolutely ecstatic, thanking her like he won the lottery. A few days later, exam time is finally here. The venue is a massive, truly intimidating coliseum. Will walks in alone, ready for whatever they throw. He is locked in, prepared for the chaos ahead. Pay attention, this is where the real test begins. Suddenly, a giant's foot steps into the frame. Will looks like an ant compared to that beast. That staff belongs to none other than the Ilnerim Academy headmaster himself. It turns out Goldgrin saved the old man's granddaughter some time back. That's a pretty solid connection to have in your pocket, right? The headmaster apologizes for not checking in on him sooner. He knows how brutal things are here for a healer like him. Will just plays it cool, brushing off the concern entirely. He insists he's doing totally fine, not bothered at all. He even declares he's aiming for that first place spot. That gets a genuine, hearty laugh right out of the headmaster. Just then, a pair of comically large boots stomps into the frame. Someone is clearly beyond pissed off as they march in. This new guy is already fuming over Will's sudden ambition. It's Bode, the Academy's training supervisor, looking for trouble. He decides it's his job to personally teach this brat a lesson. Will instantly recognizes this guy from his past life. Bode, the Purple Lightning, was a legendary offensive mage during the Great War. And let's just say Will's memories of the dude are anything but fuzzy. He remembers the cold, hard reality of that man's power. Bode starts powering up, launching into a lecture on talent being everything. He gets right in Will's face to drive the point home. He declares that a healer has zero chance of actually winning. How original, a classic tough guy routine. Oh boy is just completely unimpressed by the whole spectacle. Seeing the tension, the headmaster finally decides to step in. He tells them to knock it off before the exam starts. Bode just smirks, ready to reveal Will's actual opponent. It's the Academy's star prodigy, a guy named Sirius. Right on cue, a long-haired pretty boy makes a grand entrance. This is Sirius Blue Note, looking every bit the untouchable genius. Will's gaze immediately locks onto his new rival. This confirms the superstar Veronica warned him about. This is the guy he needs to take down to claim first place. Now watch this. The real showdown begins. The stare down is officially on, and the air is freezing. The headmaster seems to be eating up all this ambition. He tells everyone to get a move on already. Students start filing into the massive coliseum for the test. A huge crowd of participants is already waiting in the stands. Down in the arena, the competitors gather like a sea of uniforms. Among all these hopefuls, a familiar face pops up. Erica's here too, mostly so her parents don't cut her allowance. Then Will spots him, of course. The blonde bully is here. He's standing in the crowd, looking for trouble as usual. Just fantastic. It wouldn't be a real test without him. But Will doesn't care. He's ready for whatever comes next. Will is already regretting this whole mess, sweating bullets next to Erica. The headmaster steps up, kicking off the exam with a lad speech. He lays out the rules, a timed free for all. Only survivors advance. Sirius immediately complains about the crowd, calling it way too cramped. What a diva! But the headmaster just smiles like he has a fix. He slams his staff down, unleashing a massive, blinding teleportation spell. Suddenly, all the students are floating in a dark cosmic void. They look completely bewildered. This old man's staff is glowing bright. An insane amount of power ripples out as he activates a circle. With a flash, it scatters everyone across the field instantly. Will finds himself standing alone in the middle of a dense forest. He recognizes the woods behind the academy, which gives him some bearings. A disembodied voice explains everyone has been randomly teleported. Erica, though, has spawned right next to a vicious monster. Talk about bad luck. Sirius, on the other hand, looks totally unfazed. He's just geeking out over the absurd level of magic used. With the rules set, the voice officially declares the exam start. Will's first move, he doesn't rush in blindly. He scrambles up a tree to get a tactical overview of the area. Then he activates his presence concealment magic, going full stealth mode. He's ready to see who is dumb enough to make the first move. From his perch in the trees, Will watches the chaos kick off. Now watch this, the exam is officially turning into a bloodbath. Some guy summons a rock golem to do his fighting for him. A girl with a ridiculously oversized hammer goes straight on the offensive. Another student jumps in with ice magic, turning it into a brawl. Will is just chilling, treating this like a live demo of spells. That creepy little smile says he's definitely planning on stealing a few. A moment later, the first two students are already knocked out cold. Golem Boy celebrates his victory way too early, because Will suddenly appears right behind him. He's seen enough, and he casually places a hand on the guy's head. It's definitely not for a friendly chat. The guy swings a ridiculously oversized hammer, attacking hard. Another student jumps in, casting freezing ice magic. It is turning into a chaotic three-way brawl now. But Will is just chilling, watching the show. He treats this like a live demo of new spells. That creepy little smile says he is definitely planning something. He wants to steal a few techniques for himself. A moment later, the other two are already down. Golem Boy celebrates his victory way too early. because Will suddenly appears right behind him. He has seen enough of this amateur performance. He casually places a hand on the guy's head. Will pats the guy and unleashes a technique called consciousness severance. Sounds pleasant, right? It instantly sends the poor dude's brain on a one-way trip to dreamland, and just like that, the bragger drops completely out cold. This move is basically a non-lethal shutdown, manipulating life force to force a blackout. It's a pretty clean way to take someone out when you're just that much stronger. Will is super pleased this new trick he developed with Veronica actually worked, but his self-congratulations are cut short by a new presence. A volley of swords comes flying straight for his head. He immediately summons a massive blade from the earth to act as a shield, letting out an annoyed sigh because there is always another one. And look who it is, the blonde bully and his two stooges, looking way too confident. He claims he's just earnestly trying to pass the exam, nothing personal, before his whole crew powers up for a totally fair 3-on-1 beatdown. The leader summons a storm of magical knives while his bullcut buddy enchants them with a nasty poison, and the third guy uses shadow magic to multiply the poison blades into a huge swarm. Blondie is just gloating, saying there is no way Will can dodge this many attacks as a massive volley of glowing purple death rains down on him. Will knows he can heal the poison, but dodging this many projectiles is a whole other problem. So he calmly gathers some life force into his hand. With a single stomp, he cracks the earth to the bullies. Shock, the golem from the last fight erupts from the ground, deflecting the knives, leaving the guy's jaw on the floor, absolutely speechless, because Will is just standing there next to his new stolen rock monster. He then gives a little lecture on how golems are technically magical creatures, which means he can totally hijack control with his life force magic. With a new master, the golem immediately launches itself at the stunned trio, landing a brutal punch right into one goon's stomach before grabbing the other and unceremoniously slamming him into the ground. This blonde bully is left all alone, screaming at his friends. That bully got wrecked so easily and he is completely losing it. He can't handle how fast things just turned around for him. So Will just knocks him out cold, and not even gently. With a cheerful goodnight, he leaves the guy face down in the dirt. Then he moves on to find another fight brewing nearby. A golem is locked in a fierce battle with some water magic user. Will is watching the whole thing play out from the safety of the trees. He's taking notes on their techniques until his eyes go wide. A sudden shift in power just ripped through the arena. A massive tornado is tearing through the entire forest. Even Will is caught off guard by the sheer scale of this spell. The vortex is shredding everything in its path with ridiculous force. He has to make a hasty retreat to avoid being sucked in. It is total chaos, pure power destroying everything it touches. When the dust finally settles, a highway of ruin is left behind. The combatants are completely knocked out, buried under the debris. Will stands in the middle of the wreckage, totally unscathed. He spots a lone figure waiting at the end of that path. Of course, it is Sirius, looking like he didn't break a sweat. Will considers throwing down right here, but he holds back. He knows he's already done enough to pass these prelims. A voice suddenly rings out, the test is officially over. Only 4 people remain standing after that insane display of magic. Everyone gets word to wait for teleportation to tomorrow's main event. Will and Sirius lock eyes one last time across the battlefield. Sirius is giving his best I am the main character glare. And Will is right there with him, ready for the showdown. That tornado wasn't just magic, it was a giant message. Sirius is basically carving I am better than you into the earth. Later, Will is back in his room, trying to kill some time. He's just wondering how to prep for the big day tomorrow. Suddenly, a loud commotion starts up right outside his door. It turns out to be the bully's crew coming for him. But here is the crazy part. They're actually admitting Will is legit. They're even grateful he healed them after the fight. Their leader, though, is having a full-blown meltdown. He thinks his noble family's honor is totally tarnished. Mostly, he is just terrified of his father finding out. Imagine being that scared of an L. Just pathetic. It turns out to be the bully's main crew. They admit Will is legit strong and even healed them, but their leader is having a full-blown meltdown. He's panicked about his noble family's honor being tarnished by a healer. Honestly, he's just terrified of what his daddy is going to say about the loss he just took. His two sidekicks are sweating bullets, looking like they'd rather be literally anywhere else. They finally quit telling him to get wrecked. Just like that, their terrible trio is down to a pathetic solo act. This guy is so fuming he decides he doesn't even need magic to take Will down. Meanwhile, our boy is just peacefully reading, completely unaware of the incoming tantrum. Suddenly, a little treat lands on his book. That's odd. He looks up, wondering who's visiting this late. A sudden, bad feeling makes him check his doorway. The blonde bully is standing there with the fakest smile in history. Will immediately asks what he's planning. The guy insists it's just a friendly chat. Then he drops the act, confessing he hates healers and has been trying to ruin Will's life from the start. The bully flashes back to getting one-tapped, trying to play it off like he's seen it all before. He says he should have just been direct. By direct, he means demanding Will leave the academy. He's got this full-on villain glow going now. Will asks why he's so hostile. The guy basically says he doesn't need a reason to hate healers. Turns out this is all about his family's messed up prejudice. His weak older brother just took the mockery. This kid watched from the sidelines and took it the wrong way. He's trying to justify his hate by separating pathetic healers from offensive mages like Will. Our boy just listens to this whole tragic backstory dump about noble teachings. Pay attention here. This is exactly where things turn ugly. The bully grandly gestures for Will to leave, declaring this a no-healer zone. He grabs him when Will doesn't immediately obey, promising to make him quit. Then he crosses the line. He brings up Will's family with a truly disgusting smile. Will's expression immediately darkens. That was a huge mistake. This idiot reveals he had servants investigate Will. He found out about his sister back home. He makes a not-so-subtle threat about what might happen to her. Trying to make him quit, he finally crosses the line, bringing up Will's family with a truly disgusting smile. And Will's expression, it immediately darkens because that was a massive mistake. This idiot reveals his servants investigated Will, digging up dirt on his sister back home, making a not-so-subtle threat about exactly what might happen to her. He smugly asks if Will has finally made up his mind. Our boy just calmly says yes, but then, right as the bully starts ordering him to pack his things, Will grabs him by the throat and blasts him down the hallway. One single pulse of energy, the guy can't even stand up. Will is already on top of him, twisting his arm back hard. The bully screams out, it feels like it is going to break. Will just coldly reminds him he already made his decision. This bully is screaming in pure agony. Even now, he is trying to laugh through the pain. Honestly, it is just pathetic to watch. He starts threatening Will with his daddy in the academy. But our boy just smiles and says he already healed the arm, leaving the blonde idiot totally confused by this strange kindness. Then the horrifying realization starts to sink in. Will just snaps the bone all over again. He offers to heal it one more time, only to break it right after. A perfect little torture loop. Will explains that messing with his sister crossed a major line. Now his only goal is to completely shatter this guy's spirit. This bully is now just a puddle of pure terror on the floor. He is realizing Will is basically a demon in a healer's uniform. He is convinced that getting on his bad side is a fate worse than death. With the lesson thoroughly taught, Will wishes him a pleasant good night. even giving a cheerful wave as the traumatized bully scurries off. Our boy feels totally refreshed after that little educational session. The next day, he is standing before a massive stadium for the main event. Some very important-looking old dude is watching from high up. Down in the stands, a couple of other top contenders are sizing up the competition. Honestly, you have to wonder, how did he even make it this far? They cannot believe Will actually made it to the final for tournament. The third finalist is a girl who looks absolutely terrified to be here. She admits she just hid behind a firewall the whole time. A truly bold strategy, if you can call it that. Will is a little skeptical that running away is a winning tactic. So when she asks him to go easy on her, he gives a hard nope. That rejection just seems to fire her up. We reach the final for tournament, the third. Finalist is a girl who looks absolutely terrified to be here. She admits she just hid behind a firewall the whole time. A truly bold strategy. Will is skeptical that just running away is a winning tactic. So when she asks him to go easy on her, he gives a hard nope. That rejection just seems to fire her up. Her up ready to fight for real, and with that, the first match of the finals officially begins. Her name is Erica, and she immediately starts charging up some serious flames, launching a massive fireball right at Will, who just casually blocks it with his arm. Like it is a light breeze, he figures. The firepower is so weak his healing can easily outpace it and starts to just brush the flames up totally unbothered, but then he realizes something is definitely off here because the fire is not going out at all. Erica shouts that she is not done yet, powering up for another attack, forcing Will to actually dodge as more fire whips across the arena. He is now stuck with these persistent flames, realizing it is her unique magic which is all about abnormal persistence rather than raw damage. Will flashes back to borrowing her fire before finally connecting the dots, and her cowardly siege strategy suddenly makes a whole lot of sense. Turns out her magic is just as clingy as her personality, a real keeper. This crowd is totally eating it up, screaming for her to wreck the healer, which gives Erica a sudden burst of confidence, wondering if she can actually win this, so she powers up again, telling Will to just surrender. Now our boy is completely unfazed, basically saying he has infinite health potions, and she responds by launching another massive whip of fire across the arena, but Will just casually catches the flames with his bare hand, deciding to use her own fire for a little counter attack. Her jaw just drops. He is literally making a flame fist out of her magic, and he winds up for the knockout blow, ready to end this. That is the face of someone who just realized they messed up big time, and just like that, she taps out screaming, "I give up." Before he can even swing, she is left just sitting on the floor, smoking a little from the effort, this announcer calls it, and Will has declared the winner, looking cool as ever. Of course, he is just bummed that even winning gets him booed. The life of a healer. Erica, however, she is losing her mind over the fact that he didn't punch her. How dare he let her forfeit? She immediately backpedals straight into apology mode, terrified of how the crowd's going to react. But our boy is a good sport. He offers a hand, tells her she fought well. He even patches her up, saying she definitely still has a chance of passing. And suddenly we are reading a romance manga because she is completely blushing. Then some giant professor named Bode grabs Erica, who is not having it at all. Will just watches as this dude starts manhandling her right in the middle of the arena. Bode starts lecturing with a super punchable smile, telling them to think before turning to Will and calling all healers worthless trash. He then tells Erica that losing to said trash makes her even worse. Hitting a brand new low with full-on demon eyes, he orders her to leave. She scrambles away instantly. Will finally steps in, asking if that is really an appropriate way to talk to students. But the professor just calls it tough love. From the field supervisor, he starts walking straight toward Will, clearly spoiling for a fight, declaring that it looks like only one person is going to pass this year. But before anything else can happen, Sirius taps Will on the shoulder, telling him he is in the way. Our boy is completely blindsided, wondering when his rival even got there. Sirius walks past, asking if Will thinks he is the same as the professor. Turns out he kind of agrees with him. Strength is everything, after all. Will just scratches his head, trying to process this weird turn of events. Then Sirius admits he doesn't think Will is weak either, only to add that he would rather be right, which sounds an awful lot like a challenge. That definitely gets Will's attention. He is now ready for whatever is coming next. And just like that, Sirius Blue Note starts, charging up some serious wind magic as Will recalls a story from his past life about a legendary offensive mage. This is Sirius's power, a massive vortex of wind that keeps everyone out, which explains why his last opponent is just a crumpled mess on the floor, and Sirius takes the win. Why his last opponent is a crumpled mess on the floor, and Sirius has declared the winner. Looking like he just took a light stroll, everything is set. It is finally official. Will versus Sirius. The final showdown. Will knows he has to win this. He needs to earn some real respect from that jerk, Professor Bode. So he just smirks, promising to do exactly that. Sirius just gives him a deadpan, icy look, completely unimpressed by the confidence, really. With that, the announcer kicks off the final match and Sirius immediately starts whipping up wild winds. At his feet, this is not just wind, it is a full-blown tornado right in the arena. Will can barely push through the insane pressure. He has to power up with his own aura just to stay on his feet. Then Will tries to blitz through, launching himself forward, but Sirius just watches him come, not even flinching. This wind just throws Will around like a rag doll. He can barely even see through the gale force winds. Our boy realizes there is no way he can get close like this, but he is not about to give up just yet. The two of them lock eyes from across the arena, with Sirius admitting Will is fast, but also a total pain. Sirius decides to stop messing around, forming a nasty wind orb, then unleashes a focused barrage of wind blades right at Will. Our boy is struggling to just stay inside the ring against the pressure, getting pushed back and realizing he is about to be thrown out. So it is time to finally pull out his secret weapon. With a hand on the ground, he summons a single root which explodes into a massive tree, blocking the entire attack. Cold up in the stands, Erica cannot believe her eyes. That is healing magic. This tree just confirms that Will has leveled up yet again, and he has a look that says round 2. Now we flash back to a professor named Veronica asking for a demonstration. As a single leaf falls from a freshly grown tree, she is left completely stunned by what he has just done. He explains he is using life energy to rapidly grow plants after reading about offensive plant magic and thinking, yeah, I can do that. But back then, the spell left him totally drained and sweating. With Veronica having to catch him before he face plants, she asks if he is okay, and he admits he might be out of magic, laughing because the textbook conveniently left out the massive mana cost, and Veronica just confirms it is exactly what she expected from him. Veronica's lecture explains that healing magic eats way more mana, so Will realizes he has to be super careful when he uses this new trick. Back in the present, he admits he has never had a talent for offense, while Sirius just stands there looking completely unimpressed by the giant tree. He launches another barrage of wind blades, forcing Will to hide. Our boy peeking out, realizing his opponent has more than just one move. This guy's arsenal is insane. Daria Gale's focus blades The works, Will has to admit it, the top candidate, has absolutely no openings, but he is determined to get stronger with his own unique magic anyway, so he makes another mad dash trying to break through the wind wall. Sirius just scoffs, telling him he will never get close. And sure enough, Will gets blasted back by the sheer force of the wind. His rival just watches on, looking like he is about to fall asleep from boredom, but then a root shoots out of the ground and stabs Sirius right in the shoulder, leaving him completely stunned, wondering where that even came from. Will explains with a smug grin that tornadoes cannot protect you underground. Sirius is now leading and looking absolutely livid about being hit, taking the chance. Will asks why he cares so much about Professor Bog's opinion. And up in the stand said Professor is just chilling, looking like a smug jerk. Sirius claims it is because Bog is strong, but Will points out he is from a prestigious family and does not need a teacher like that. Sirius reveals his family's whole deal of magical ability is everything, and it is a brutal survival of the strongest system, making everyone an enemy, so sucking up to Professor Bode is his best shot at getting stronger apparently. Then he complains his shoulder hurts, asking if the therapy session is over yet. Up in the stands, Erica and the others are just completely floored. Will just smirks, clearly unfazed by this whole intense exchange. He's standing his ground, ready for whatever this guy pulls next. And what Sirius throws out is a freaking giant water dragon. So much for a simple duel between these two mages. That massive beast just lunges across the entire arena floor. It's aiming to swallow Will whole in one quick strike, making our boy reflect that he's been grinding way harder than any naturally talented offensive mage could ever imagine. His eyes are now shadowed with some serious killing intent. He straight up declares he genuinely wants to beat Sirius now. But when Sirius asks what he is declaring, Will stays quiet. Will just says he is talking to himself, nothing more. With that, he slams his hand down, summoning his best seed. It sounds way less cool than it actually is, trust me. A single vine erupts from the ground, shooting straight up. It grows into a massive tree in mere seconds flat. He calls it Yggdrasil, the freaking world tree right there, right in the middle of the arena, blooming instantly. Normally, that takes forever to grow and drains tons of mana. But the more magic he pours in, the bigger it gets. It grows just in time to meet that dragon head-on. Now we have got a giant water serpent wrestling a tree. This exam is officially going nuts, you guys. Sirius just stands there looking completely unbothered by everything. Even with a gaping hole in his chest, he doesn't flinch. His water dragon yeets the entire world tree into the sky. The massive trunk is hurtling through the air like a missile. It's an absolute spectacle, honestly, pure chaos unfolding. But Will has got that I am not done yet glow. While those two colossal summons continue their insane wrestling match, he explains his tree is super resilient, with branches regrowing instantly. But you can see the sheer strain is getting to him. That dragon's power finally shatters the massive tree into pieces. Huge shards of wood go flying everywhere across the battlefield, just for a huge chunk to come crashing down on Sirius. Suddenly, Will is standing right over him, knife in hand. Talk about a total reversal of fortune in an instant. Pinned down, with a blade to his throat, Sirius stalls out. He finally admits defeat, leaving our boy standing as victor. Officially the winner of the final match of the tournament. Up in the stands, everyone is losing their minds right now. They can't believe the healer actually pulled off a win, while Sirius just looks down, completely crushed by the loss. Will offers a hand, trying to bridge the gap now, calling it a good fight, despite everything that just happened. A close fight, but then he says it wasn't good enough. His rival is justifiably confused, asking what the hell that's supposed to mean before Will drops the bomb, I am disappointed, which is never a good sign as a terrifying purple aura just explodes out of him with Sirius still stuck under a log. Watching this new nightmare unfold, and that is when Professor Bode teleports in with a kick. Clearly, having seen enough, Bode just scoops up the unconscious Sirius like a sack of laundry, announcing to Will that his star pupil failed and needs retraining, which sounds fun, in the stands. Everyone agrees this reaction is maybe a little harsh. So naturally, Bode turns on the crowd and calls them all idiots. He's absolutely losing his mind that a healer actually won the tournament, and the entire audience just collectively tries to become invisible. Will, bless his heart, asks if maybe this is going a bit too far, even trying to give Sirius credit for a good fight. Bode's response is a face full of purple rage, telling him not to talk back as he stomps forward, mocking Will's idea of a good fight. This professor's big lesson today is that on the battlefield, ability is everything. And if you lose, you are just trash that dies. Great pep talk. Teach. Will is just staring, completely appalled by this guy's twisted logic. So, he points out that by that logic he proved his own ability by winning. Bode's face goes completely dark, clearly not a fan of having his words used against him. Later, the professor watches from a balcony as Will and his friends walk away, but our boy circles back to confront him, arguing that healers are vital support. He gives a whole speech about teamwork and division of roles for survival, while Bode just listens with that same dead, unimpressed expression. Then Will hits a nerve, reminding him his own students died, buying time for others to escape, and we get Bode's tragic backstory. His students got wiped out by weak monsters, revealing his prized pupils, the ones who fought, died all the same. Turns out he could not even get to the battlefield in time to heal them. His eye glowing with pure hatred flares as he curses the cowards who turned tail and ran. He is screaming now, letting years of buried trauma spill out. He drags Sirius's tragedy into it, a full montage of his own broken past. This reveals the core of his twisted philosophy. If you are weak, then you simply die. Will just stands there, silent, absorbing every word. It is like watching an entire villain origin story play out in real time. This professor justifies it all, claiming a new, more vicious era is coming. And in that future he is building, he argues that the strong just cannot afford to be selfish. Hearing this, Will's fist tightens up. He is not letting this psychological garbage slide, so he throws down the gauntlet, beat the professor, and earn his respect right here. Bode's response is a smug, sharp grin that just screams, "You are going to regret that." He orders another teacher to start the match and clear the weaklings out. That poor guy looks stunned, but Bode just declares he makes the rules now. As they carry Sirius away, the other teacher gives Will a look of pure pity. Our boy, however, is locked in, not a single ounce of fear on his face. That teacher is sweating buckets, knowing Will is probably absolute toast. Finally, the match is announced as special bout, Bode versus Will. Bode cracks his knuckles, ready to demolish a student in front of everyone. He powers up, promising to show Will his true level, which basically means pain. Will knows he is low on mana, facing the toughest fight of his life. He realizes a straight fight is suicide, so he starts gathering his own magic. But Bode just lunges forward, not even bothering with a warm-up. Suddenly, oh boy is surrounded by crackling, violent purple lightning. This energy erupts into a massive, arena-clearing blast. Wait for it, the whole stadium is nothing but a cloud of dust. After that one move, Bode is completely unscathed and starts a lecture. He goes on about his three-point plan for total victory. Just a classic villain monologue about distance, speed, and overwhelming power. He even taunts the dust cloud, asking if his opponent can still hear him. A moment later, his eye narrows, wondering where that massive power went. And there is Will, kneeling in the thick smoke, bleeding but very much alive. Our boy had already guessed the professor was packing some serious lightning magic. This energy erupts into a massive arena, clearing blast, leaving the whole stadium just a cloud of dust. After that one move bowed completely, and Scathe starts a lecture on his 3-point plan for victory, a classic villain monologue about distance, speed, and overwhelming power. He even taunts the dust cloud, asking if his opponent can still hear him a moment later. His eye narrows, wondering where that one-shot power went, and there is Will, kneeling in the smoke, bleeding but very much alive. Oh boy had already guessed the professor had some kind of lightning magic, knowing he had to dodge a direct hit to his vitals at all costs, because even his insane healing can't fix a fried brain or a completely zapped heart. So his quick fix, carving out a makeshift blood circuit with his knife, letting him channel the raging electricity right down his arm and safely ground it out through his leg. Now that he's somehow survived that brutal opening salvo, it's finally time to launch a counterattack. His professor just looks mildly annoyed the kid is still breathing, while Will powers up a physical enhancement green or a flaring hard. Eyes glowing, he gets ready to close the distance fast. But this sudden aftershock hits, and Will realizes something terrifying. He can't even put a shred of power into his own body. While Bode helpfully chimes in with a smug explanation, dropping the fact that his lightning paralyzes anyone it touches. A fun little bonus feature our boy really didn't need right now. Struggling against total body lockdown, Will knows he is in deep trouble. But the professor just smirks, charging up another blast like it's nothing. And another massive wave of purple energy slams right down, crashing straight onto Will's position in the arena. Up in the stands, Erica is absolutely terrified for him. Even through the waves of pain, Will has to admit the truth. This guy operates on a completely different level, finally understanding why the professor acts like such a colossal jerk. But our boy isn't out of tricks just yet. Reaching deep into his pocket for one final gambit, a sharp new fire lights up right in his eyes. He's decided he's winning this match no matter the cost. Slamming his hand to the ground, betting everything he has left, burning through his final drags of mana to trigger plant manipulation. A thick new vine twists upwards from the dirt. He gives it a grand name, the Water Treasure Tree, which actually sounds pretty promising for once. And right on cue, a massive tree erupts from the arena floor. The strategy is simple: absorb huge amounts of water to act as a lightning rod. But Bode's reaction is basically a cold shrug as he powers up even more. Will's face just drops as he realizes this power breaks all his calculations. Everyone up in the stands can only watch in absolute horror at the sheer, overwhelming energy output flooding the zone. Bode's devastating attack hits the tree dead center, tearing the giant wooden structure right down the middle, in a blinding flash of light that leaves the stage wrecked. In horror at the sheer energy output, Bode's attack hits the tree head-on, tearing it right down the middle in a flash of light, leaving behind. Will kneels in the center of the smoldering, broken wreckage. Bode strolls right between the two charred halves of the debris. He mocks Will, calling his desperate last-ditch defense pathetic. Then, a strange noise from behind a tree makes him freeze. Suddenly, a massive cluster of red mushrooms bursts from the earth. The professor just stands there, staring, completely lost. He hasn't got a clue what is happening right now. Hidden behind that newly grown wall, Will is feeling pretty lucky. His bizarre plan actually worked. He knew exactly what he was doing. He explains that lightning strikes can trigger rapid spore growth in plants. He calls this specific species the foam blower. And believe me, it has a fun little secret. Bode just watches as the fungal fortress grows taller and taller. Then it hits him. His whole body is going numb. A lovely little side effect of those toxic spores. Will sees his opening and starts powering up for a close-range assault. With a burst of raw green energy, he lunges forward. Fist cocked back, he closes the distance on his teacher in an instant. But Bode just smirks, his eyes glowing with malice. He is not paralyzed at all, not even close. He effortlessly catches Will's punch with a hand crackling in purple lightning. The feedback is brutal, sending a violent shockwave through Will. It forces him to his knees while Bode lectures him on combat. Turns out, the professor uses his own electricity to negate paralysis. Will collapses, realizing he is completely and utterly outmatched. With cold, glowing eyes, Bode declares the match finished. He raises his hand to deliver one final, electrifying lesson in defeat. But just as he goes for the blow, someone steps in. A sword is pressed to his throat. She calmly tells him he is going too far. This is Professor Veronica, and she is clearly not impressed. Bode absolutely loses it at being interrupted like this. His brilliant comeback is to pull rank, ordering the new hire to back off. Down on the ground, Will is stunned to see a teacher actually intervening. Veronica declares the match over, pointing out the obvious. Anything more than this, she says, is just going way too far. Steps in, sword to his throat. She calmly asks if maybe, just maybe, he is going a little too far. This is Professor Veronica, and she is clearly not impressed with Bode's teaching methods. Bode, of course, absolutely loses it at being interrupted. His brilliant comeback is to pull rank, telling the new hire to stay out of it. Down on the ground, Will is just stunned to see another. The teacher steps in. Veronica declares the fight finished. She points out that pushing him any further is just pointless. A pointless injury, but Bode argues Will can just heal it if he had any stamina or mana left, which he doesn't. So naturally, Bode just powers up again, screaming that Will lacks basic fighting spirit. Just pathetic, really. Veronica flares her own aura, ready to jump in. Now we have two professors about to tear the arena apart. They are locked in a death glare until a new voice cuts through the tension, telling them both to knock it off. Suddenly, the headmaster, or someone who looks just like him, appears between them, calling this fight the real problem. With a dramatic flourish, he lands, officially ending the party. This old man gives Bode one simple order: stop this now. His glare is basically a weaponized, I am so disappointed. For the first time, Bode actually looks intimidated. Like he just got caught by his dad. He finally backs down. He's seething, but he knows he's lost this one. The headmaster apologizes to Veronica, admitting Bode is a liability. The guy looks like he has had this exact headache for 50 years. With that, he officially concludes the exam, telling everyone to go home. Students start filing out, just happy not to be collateral damage. Meanwhile, Will's healing magic is sputtering out. He's empty. He's grinding his teeth in frustration over that massive power gap. But then Professor Veronica just swoops in and scoops him up bridal style, leaving our boy dangling there, completely baffled by this sudden rescue. She tells him he did well and to just rest. A novel concept for him. Teachers usually try to murder him. He finally accepts it, looking defeated but at least not electrocuted. As she carries him off, his inner voice is already screaming, "Not good enough." After a quick time skip, Will is back on his feet. You wouldn't believe how fast this kid bounces back. Walking the halls, he is still obsessing over the professor's power. A whole new level of terrifying. Realizing that even these titans are only just the start. Baffled by this sudden rescue, she tells him he did well. Just rest now. A completely novel concept for him. Will just stares, probably not used to teachers who are not actively trying to kill him. He finally accepts it, looking down, defeated, but at least not electrocuted. As she carries him off, his inner voice is already screaming, "Not good enough." After a quick time skip, Will is back on his feet and walking the halls. He is still obsessing over the professor's power. A whole new level of terrifying. Realizing that even these titans are just the beginning, she briefs them on their very first mission, a classic goblin hunt. Failed to save humanity once, now he has to get stronger. With that new goal, he peeks into the headmaster's office. The old man turns around, totally expecting him to be there. The headmaster notes his injuries are gone. He explains the healing is back online. That means he can still participate in the field training. To Will's surprise, and Erica's too. Wait, Erica passed. That's news to a shocked Erica. But Will points out Bodes said they all failed. The headmaster just shrugs. Oh, he does that every year. Will learns Bodes tells everyone they fail. It's just his twisted way of motivating students. And apparently, this is his idea of being a proper teacher. Will just thinks he is a total social disaster. Our boy's expression hardens as he processes all this. In his past life, he saw Bodes as a true hero, a man fighting nonstop for humanity's sake. With that settled, the headmaster assigns him to a new party. He's now an offensive mage. His new job, taking on actual monster subjugation requests. He's thinking about the future, just 5 years away, when demons cause humanity's total downfall. See, right now, most monsters are just part of nature. Not inherently evil, they might attack, but it's just survival. Nothing personal. And if you really understand them, they can be allies. But in 2 years, that all goes out the window. A blood moon appears, turning every monster into a mindless machine. Now watch this, here is where the real nightmare begins. They will even start cooperating across species, united only by their singular desire to kill. 2 years after that, the Demon King himself finally descends. Humanity immediately loses ground. Entire nations just get erased from the map, while all the frontline fighters, mages, and knights alike are cut down. Once the front lines collapsed, the monsters just swarmed in. They even slaughtered all the support classes. By the time Will died in that timeline, humanity was done. Just months from total, absolute extinction. Clenching his fist, he swears he won't let it happen again. He knows the truth now. He has to become stronger. Whatever the cost, he will rewrite their future. No more watching from the sidelines. This time, he is going to change everything. The countdown to the end of the world has officially started. Way stronger than his past self, ready to stop the invasion. The headmaster hands Will a new mission, figure out what makes the blood moon tick. He even mentions that Will has that same look of steel he had. On day 1, Will just deadpans that he will be fine, seeing as the teachers are being so careful. And the old man gives him a fatherly pat on the shoulder. Wanting a private word, our boy is just a little thrown by the sudden grandpa moment outside. Carriages are all lined up while the students prep for field training. Will, Erica, and Professor Veronica are waiting together. Then they spot someone approaching, and his expression shifts. Here comes Sirius, walking with a guy who looks like he eats nails for breakfast. Will tries to be diplomatic, saying he heard the man's legendary strictness comes from a place of genuine caring. That immediately gets him a face full of angry professor. This new guy just unloads on him, calling him weak trash for not landing a single hit. He wraps up his pep talk by calling Will an idiot and telling him to train harder. But then he walks off, gruffly thanking Will for looking out for Sirius, a total sooner move. Sirius quietly adds his own thanks, looking way more chill than his guardian. Will just notes that his rival is as quiet as ever, but Sirius is fired up, vowing to go all out and get stronger. He even quotes Bode's twisted logic. If you survive to get revenge, it is not a loss. Will, completely vibing with this, offers a fist bump. To seal the deal, Sirius just smirks, ready for their intense rivalry. Their new bond is officially on, sealed with that vengeance field. Fist bump, with the bromance moment over it, is back to being stoic rivals again. As the carriages load up, the mission goal is clear. More mages mean a better shot against monsters, so Erica calls out to Will, telling him, "It is finally time to go." Our boy puts on a game. face looking way too cheerful for someone about to fight for his life. Their carriage rumbles toward the ominous Dunkel Forest as training. Details are confirmed, and inside, Veronica. She explains they will form a 4-person party with students from other academies. This is news to Erica, who is just glad she is with Will. Because Professor Veronica is still terrifying. Just as Will is processing the new team setup, the carriage stops. They have arrived. Veronica leads them out the door, announcing their third-party member is already waiting. The name of their school, Silburn, rings a bell for Will from his past life. Suddenly, an extremely cheerful voice just screams his name. A blonde girl immediately tackles him in a hug. She's absolutely thrilled to finally meet him. This sudden ambush leaves Erica and Veronica completely stunned, while Will is just flustered, trying to get a word in, admitting he has absolutely no clue who she is. She finally gives him some breathing room, but she is definitely not letting go yet, explaining they met before, but did not get a chance for a proper introduction. This is Marie Goldgrim, granddaughter of another academy headmaster. And that name hits Will like a ton of bricks. A major player from his past has just appeared. She introduces herself as Marie Goldgrim, granddaughter of the headmaster from Schwartz Academy. Will is completely floored, remembering her from that time. Now watch this. A quick flashback reveals the truth. He is the one who healed her when she was sick in bed. Now she is back, full of energy and just thrilled to see her personal healer again. He tries to be professional, but she is already latching on. And that name hits Will like a ton of bricks. A major player from his past just walked through the door. She introduces herself, Marie, granddaughter of the Schwartz Academy headmaster. Will is completely floored. 1,000 memories flood back in an instant. A quick flashback shows the truth. He was the one who healed her. When she was trapped in bed, sick and helpless, he was there. Now she is back, full of energy, and just thrilled to see him. It's a lot to take in. She's clinging to Will's hand already. He just freezes, caught totally off guard by the sudden intensity. She's polite enough, but Marie mentions her grandfather's recommendations. Settling things between them, she explains she started with 0. She had no magical talent, but was determined to repay him. She chose a blade instead, training like a complete maniac. And the work paid off. She ended up top-ranked. At her own academy, no less, which leaves Will in total shock. Turns out she's a natural with a sword. A reality she's pretty clearly happy about. Will is internally screaming right now, realizing the truth. This girl is an absolute monster for leveling up that fast. She grabs his hand, declaring this is exactly why. They're in the same party now, vowing to be useful to Lord Will. He gives a slightly stunned agreement to that. Suddenly, the headmaster's words about counting on him make sense. Marie drags him off to meet the rest of their team. Watching from afar, Veronica just dryly notes that Marie is having fun. The two of them approach another carriage, looking for members. Marie calls out for a Mr. Urine and Mr. Toff to appear. That first name, Urine, hits Will like a sack of bricks. He knows that guy. A voice from inside tells them to chill. The person says he is coming, and the door swings wide. Will's face is pure horror at who he sees stepping out. Out steps Urine, a teacher with a whole lot of swagger. Will is completely stunned, recognizing him instantly. This was his master in his past life, his mentor in healing, the absolute legend himself. So Will is buzzing with excitement. He's thrilled to be on the same team again, to everyone's confusion. Behind him, some poor nerd is trying to squeeze past. The guy is asking Urine to please move. Ever the diplomat, Marie introduces herself to the new guy, Toff. This new kid gives a very shy, "Nice to meet you." But his eyes immediately lock onto Marie holding Will's hand, and he just freezes. Turning to Will, he asks who he is, probably not liking the competition. Our boy introduces himself, and Toff's reaction is pure judgment. With that, Urine dramatically announces the urine squad is a go. He promises to be a very hands-off supervisor. Marie looks a bit taken aback by that introduction. Toph steps in, turning to Will with a sharp look, asking who he is. You can tell he definitely doesn't like the competition. Our boy introduces himself, but Toph's reaction, pure, unadulterated judgment. Then Urine dramatically announces the urine squad is a go. She promises to be a very hands-off supervisor. Murray is a bit taken aback by the whole situation. Honestly, who could blame him with all this tension? Will's taken aback by the loose supervision. It's pretty wild. It just confirms that's classic master Urine for you. As Urine strikes a relaxed pose, Will walks right up to him. He faces his old mentor and asks if it's okay to call him master. Urine just scoffs, ha, for what exactly? Will lays it out clearly. He can use healing magic, but he needs a teacher. And he's dead set on it being Urine. This completely throws Urine for a loop. See, a battle mage who can also heal. That's unheard of. Though he vaguely recalls hearing some legend about that before. He starts complaining about their lopsided team composition. So Will asks again, is it okay, master? Urine just caves, telling him to call him whatever he wants. Hearing this, Marie immediately decides something for herself. If Lord Will is doing it, she's doing it too. She calls Urine master, much to Toph's absolute horror. This whole chaotic party finally takes off. The other teachers watch, noting they really can't fall behind. They need to keep up with this new energy. Their mission kicks off at a cozy little hut, their new base. Urine lays out the basic plan for everyone. Goblins are deeper in, healers stay back. Will. He immediately asks why his master, a healer, is heading for the front lines. With a grin, Urine says he's just the supervisor. Besides, he hates formalities anyway. Marie takes this as her cue to speak up. She announces she is going all out. Will, with a cheeky grin, asks if she really means all out. Her response is a terrifyingly gleeful of course. As goblin shadows rise, she tightens her grip on that massive weapon. She's ready for action. Hoisting it high, she vows to swing with everything she has got. Then she just becomes a whirlwind of death. She's slicing through the horde like it's nothing. This girl is a blur, charging straight into the fray without hesitation. You can see the pure adrenaline in every move. In seconds, she's standing victoriously on a pile of defeated goblins. A quick flashback reminds us of something important. This is the same girl who was recently bedridden. And now, she's striking a sparkly pose just for Lord Will. Our boy is just stunned, realizing her swordsmanship packs serious power. He even wonders if they could have just left this whole mission to her. But her victory lap is cut short. A fresh wave of monsters appears, way more dangerous than the last. They're swarming in, and things are about to get real ugly. Urine notes she's stronger than before, but still leaves herself wide open. And just like that, the one-woman army finds herself completely surrounded. Urine doesn't hesitate, giving Will his very first order. Go cover for her. Will gets his game face on right away. He finally realizes it's time to take on some actual monsters. His first opponent, one seriously angry-looking goblin. Oh boy is definitely on edge, heart pounding in his chest. Until his master calls him out for being stiff as a board. Urine just grins, telling the kid to loosen up a little. Will isn't used to this laid-back coaching style, but he gets it. Thinking his master hasn't changed one bit, he starts weaving a spell. Green magic flares to life, surging through his entire body. Urine watches on, pleased, as the kid digs his heels into the dirt. He's about to launch himself straight into the middle of the fray. And just like that, he blitzes through the goblins with blinding speed. Suddenly, he's back-to-back with Marie, a perfect, lethal duo. He tells her to handle her side while he clears his own. Marie is totally impressed, finally seeing how he weaponizes healing magic. Even Urine admits from the back that the kid is pretty good. Will stands over the defeated goblins, confirming his technique actually works. Meanwhile, Marie busts out a move Veronica taught her. Tiny, angry Erica immediately starts fangirling over Lord Will. You have to love her energy. She's gushing over how amazing he is. Urine finally wraps things up, calling it a day for the squad. With the first training session done, he gives the order to pull out. Marie feels surprisingly light on her feet, and she's beaming. Will gives all the credit to his master, flashing back to the truth. See, people usually measure healing by the types of injuries it fixes. But Urine's real gift, it's his raw, terrifying speed. He heals so fast you don't even notice the magic happening. Pay close attention. This is why only other healers realize how broken he is. Urine's old philosophy was simple. He isn't looking for any thanks. He just wants to get the job done and move on. Will knows something the rest of the world hasn't figured out yet. That the real secret behind urine is something else entirely. Think back to how healing usually works. People measure it by the severity of the wounds it can fix. But urine's real gift is his speed. He heals so fast that the human eye can barely even track it. Because of this, only other healers can truly appreciate just how broken his skill set actually is. Urine's old philosophy was simple. He wasn't looking for any thanks, just wanted to get the job done. He knows something the rest of the world hasn't even figured out yet, the fact that urine is dangerous. Kaidos is the undisputed best healer alive. Back at their cozy base, Urine admits the party is actually shaping up pretty nicely. He gives their first day a passing grade while they eat. Over a hot meal, Toph humbly points out he did not do much, since everyone came back in one piece. But Urine proudly presents Toph's special healing soup, claiming comfort is a healer's duty, too. Then he immediately takes all the credit for the flavor, thanks to his secret spices. What a guy! Marie is totally impressed, wondering how a healer knows so much about frontline combat, and Urine just casually explains you pick up a thing or two. By patching up soldiers, Toph adds that their professor is always traveling to dangerous field sites, which is why he is never at school. When Marie asks about the danger, Urine just smirks that he is confident in his ability to run away. Well, just keeps eating his soup, totally used to his master's nonsense. He knows Urine talks a big game about retreating, but he never actually abandons anyone in need. In his past life, losing Urine was a catastrophic blow to humanity's chances, not just for his healing, but because he was one of the few who truly understood the grim necessities of war. Urine reflects on his changed destiny, thinking there is still time before that event. But Well's eyes are filled with a cold, hard determination. He checks his soup, vowing to prevent his master's death in this timeline. The two of them just banter later that night, like nothing is wrong. Elsewhere, in a dark, desolate place, a shadowy figure makes their move, holding a pulsing red gem that radiates the power of the red moon. It immediately summons a massive horde of glowing-eyed goblins, followed by the heavy tread of something much, much bigger. A giant horned demon silhouette emerges from the shadows. The next day, our squad heads back out, completely unaware of the recent power-up. Urine's feeling confident, praising their teamwork and expecting to finish the job soon. But as they walk, the mood shifts. Something is off. Urine abruptly stops. He stops dead in his tracks, sensing a shift in the air. He immediately tells the team they're turning back. Marie is totally baffled since they haven't even seen a monster yet. But Urine explains it is actually the opposite problem. It is way too quiet. He knows goblins are territorial. They should have attacked by now. Yet there is absolutely nothing. Trusting his gut feeling that this eerie silence is a massive red flag. With that, he officially calls off the hunt. He suggests they merge with another party for safety. Marie remembers Veronica's team should be based somewhere nearby. Urine smirks, deciding they should totally drop in on the neighbors. He confidently leads them off the beaten path into the woods. But Will's gut is already screaming that this is all wrong. His past life instincts are kicking in hard. As they move through the trees, pushing through the thick brush, he sees a clearing and hopes he is just being paranoid, until his eyes lock onto a sight that makes his blood run cold. Someone is tied to a wooden post, clearly in bad shape. A closer look reveals a young girl, bruised and exhausted. He recognizes her instantly. It is Erica from the other team. With absolutely zero hesitation, Marie launches herself forward to save her. She lands with a solid thud, ready to be the hero. But the ground immediately collapses into a massive pitfall trap. Will screams her name in pure, unfiltered panic. Marie, ever the resourceful brawler, uses her weapon to break her fall, jamming the blunt end deep into the dirt wall. From the bottom of a spike-lined pit, she cheerfully yells that she is okay. Will finally puts it all together. Erica was just the bait. Right on cue, a volley of arrows comes flying out of the trees, forcing Will to deflect one with his sword. His cat ears pop out from the strain. He is on high alert now as the full-blown ambush begins. This ambush springs with the heavy thud of a giant's foot, followed by a whole freaking army of red-eyed goblins. Down in the pit, Marie is still trying to climb out. Will states the obvious. They are completely surrounded. Now watch this. The horde closes in from every single direction. The ambush springs a heavy thud like a giant's foot hitting the earth. And then, a whole freaking army of red-eyed goblins swarms in. Down in the pit, Marie is still fighting to climb out. Will just states the obvious. They are completely and totally surrounded. From every single direction, the horde closes in. During the party, his past life memories hit him hard. This looks exactly like the Red Moon event. But that was not supposed to happen for another 2 years. The timeline is officially broken. One quick look, Erica is still alive, still tied to that post. No time to waste. He starts powering up his healing magic for the fight. Yurin calmly assesses the situation. One hostage and way too many enemies. Time for a new trick. He slams a magic circle into the ground. Massive plant-like tendrils erupt from the earth itself. They twist and harden into a squad of badass wood golems. He immediately orders Marie to take the front line. His new wooden buddies will cover their flank from archers. Now watch this. He tells her to charge up a big one. No holding back. Marie digs in, her sword glowing with an insane amount of power. She unleashes a massive shockwave that obliterates the front line. She glances back with a grin, asking how they liked that swing. Before he can answer, she dives into the fray against another goblin. Toph jumps in to handle the stragglers, covering Marie's 6. Yurin casually announces he is off to rescue the hostage. Will is happy to let him since he has his hands full. But then a horrible thought hits him. His face just drops. Past memories flooding back, he remembers the Red Moon event. It lets monsters coordinate their attacks at the exact same time. Yurin is sprinting across the field to get to Erica, but the ground in front of him cracks and splinters open. Of course, a giant ogre was hiding underground just for him. Will sees the new boss monster and realizes the truth. This was a multi-layered trap from the very start. Now Yurin is completely cut off from the hostage. He is staring down a very large, very angry problem. It is all coming back to Will now. This is exactly how it happened in his past life. He knows his master's fatal flaw all too well. Yurin will never abandon someone in need. Right on cue, the ogre powers up a massive energy blast. It is aimed directly at him. But Yurin just calmly flares his own golden healing aura. Completely unfazed, he stands his ground. The ogre's heavy punch finally connects. A massive energy blast is tearing through the air, aimed dead center at him. Yurin doesn't even blink, just calmly flares his own healing aura to meet it. He's completely unfazed, and then this ogre's fist slams in. Yurin vanishes into thin air. In a flash, he reappears right behind the beast, wearing a smug grin. "Did you miss me?" he asks. Well, the ogre can barely believe its eyes. Its master just used healing magic for a high-speed dodge. That monster is absolutely furious now, eyes glowing with pure rage. It brings a massive arm down like a falling axe, trying to crush him. But Urine is already gone, dancing away with that broken speed. Once again, he zips behind the ogre, looking way too pleased with himself. He just pats its head, whispering nighty-night like it's a toddler. A massive blast of healing magic then floods the area. Professor Veronica had just vanished. Will cannot believe it. Their teacher just dipped. The monster's eyes glow a furious, burning red. Then total confusion. Its gaze goes blank, and the giant just faceplants, completely knocked out cold. Will sprints over, absolutely losing his mind over that move. Urine just shrugs, claiming he learned it from his own students. What a liar! His student, meanwhile, is practically glowing with pure hero worship right now. With the big guy handled, Urine gets to work freeing Erica, telling them it's time to move. Will can't help but wonder why his master doesn't just nuke the entire goblin army. But Urine's already got the hostage and is ready to bounce. He lets the golems cover them, leaving Will stunned. Urine explains he only put the ogre to sleep. He's a healer, and he's not in the business of hurting monsters. His principles are weirdly consistent. Then he cheerfully announces the big guy will be fine. Leading the great escape, Will just watches him go. A small smile on his face, totally in awe. With that, the team punches a hole through the goblin lines and bolts, taking out a few pursuers before the horde finally gives up the chase. Finding a safe clearing, they get a moment to breathe. Urine immediately starts the healing process, gently, telling Erica to wake up. Her eyes snap open in a panic. Suddenly conscious, surrounded by the team, Erica wakes up, totally disoriented. Will, skipping the small talk, immediately demands to know what happened. This question sends her into a full-blown panic attack. The trauma hits hard. Her flashback reveals she felt useless, like she was holding her own team back. After getting a little too carried away with that thought, she woke up to find her professor Veronica had just vanished. Will can't believe it. Their teacher just dipped. Veronica apparently left a super helpful note that just said standby, which means nothing, so naturally. Her teammates convinced her to go searching alone. Some great friends, Will is absolutely fuming, pointing out that one wrong move and it's all over. Apparently, she left a super helpful note that just said standby, which means nothing. So naturally, her teammates convinced her to be the one to go searching alone. Some great friends she has. Will is absolutely fuming, pointing out that one wrong move could be fatal. He admits their teamwork was solid, but it's not over yet. She would have been dead by now. He clenches his fist, teeth gritted in frustration. She still does not grasp the real danger, Erica. Erica finished her story. She smelled something sweet in the woods. And then everything went black. Urine connects the dots immediately. A sleep-inducing drug, plus a perfectly coordinated trap. Things are getting weird. He decides to table the how for now. They need to find her team's base, ASAP. Erica leads them through the woods, but she suddenly freezes in her tracks. Her face is a mask of pure, unadulterated shock. Their entire base has been completely demolished. Maria is baffled, insisting she scouted this place herself. She explains that goblins are territorial creatures. They never should have attacked a base this far out. Now watch this. The whole squad just stares at the wreckage. They are all wondering what the hell is going on. Will's mind is racing. This level of aggression is a Red Moon trait, but he cannot exactly drop that info bomb right now. Urine inspects the wreckage and finds zero signs of a fight, meaning Erica's teammates just straight up abandoned her. So he decides to split up, sending the kids to safety. He heads out to track down the two deserters. The three students just stand there looking deeply unconvinced. This is a classic horror movie setup if I have ever seen one. With a final warning that their own base might be a target, he sends them away. Spooked, the team makes a mad dash back to their own camp. They are screaming for Toph the whole way there. And Toph, he is just casually stirring a pot. He is complaining that lunch is not ready yet. Marie immediately tackles him in a hug, just relieved he is okay. That leaves the poor guy utterly baffled. Will cuts the reunion short, ordering everyone to pack it up. "We are leaving now," he says. But his past life instincts start screaming again. A cold sweat breaks out on his face. The girls watch him, totally tense as he stares out the door. He wears a grim expression, and he confirms the worst. They were followed by a whole new army. Erica, having the absolute worst day of her life, promptly freaks out. Will, on the other hand, decides this is a great time for some quiet self-loathing. His weirdly timed introspection is something else. Seriously, who thinks about their failures while being hunted? He has to snap out of it before they are all killed. There is no time for regrets when an army is at the door. Every second they waste puts them closer to the grave. He steels himself, sword in hand, ready for the coming storm. This just leaves Erica more confused than ever. Then he snaps out of it, flashing a confident smirk. He announces a new plan for the three of them. They are taking on the Horde, and he is actually feeling good. They can win this, a tiny trio against a massive force, facing a monster legion, a swarm this big. He explains their teamwork is everything, and he immediately pivots. He tells Marie not to go full Larry Jenkins this time, just support. She needs to back the Vanguard because he has got a surprise. A brand new wood golem is ready to hold the front line. He tells Erica to hit the goblins with fire. She is still stuck in that "I am useless" monologue, so he gives her a shot of pure confidence, promising her magic will work. And honestly, that seems to be the only pep talk she needed to snap out of it. She locks in with a look of grim determination. She gets ready to cast, letting loose a massive wave of heat. A wall of fire slams right into the Horde's front door. It promptly engulfs the entire goblin army in a raging inferno. Erica looks on, absolutely giddy that she actually did something cool for once. Will's face goes grim. He knows that was way too easy. A giant demonic foot casually steps out of the flames, followed by the rest of a very large, very angry-looking monster. It just walks through the fire like it is a light spring shower. Not ideal, and Will just grins, realizing this is the real enemy. He immediately sends his wood golem charging in to meet it, while yelling at Erica to keep that fire coming. But the demon effortlessly catches the flaming golem mid-stride, and with a furious roar, it begins to crush his wooden friend. Will calls out to his heavy hitter, Marie. She is more than ready, unleashing a massive golden arc of energy. It slams into the demon, sending it flying backward. The girls take a quick second to celebrate with a well-earned high five. Will admits their teamwork was solid, but watch yourself. It is not over yet, because the demon is still standing, completely unfazed by the fire and the damage done. A massive gash on its chest just seals itself shut. It regenerates. Lovely. Marie is already over this. She is asking if they seriously have to deal with this all day, because the demon is still standing, completely unfazed by the fire. The massive gash on its chest just seals itself shut. It regenerates. Lovely. Marie is already over this, asking if they just have to keep fighting. He hits the floor, pulling off a perfect hero pose. Will's mind is racing, drilling into that same impossible problem, chipping away at it. That plan is going nowhere fast. But his focus snaps. A new danger just hit his radar. A crimson blur streaks across the air, dead set on him. He barely reacts, reflexes kicking in just in time. He blocks it, the goblin, appearing out of thin air. The demon, it is literally grabbing its own minions. It is launching them like human darts. Absolutely wild. Will sidesteps another one, calling them annoying projectiles. Honestly, that is putting it way too lightly. Erica sees the next wave and starts spiraling again. Marie steps up, She is ready to take this on. She prepares to intercept an incoming goblin missile. She shouts, sending these things right back where they came from. With one perfect swing, she smacks the creature away. She sees that look in Will's eyes, the scheming one. She tells him to leave defense to her, and he nods. He trusts her to hold the line while he maps it out. Erica and the golem handle the horde. Marie takes the projectiles. That leaves our main character to take on the big boss. The demon glares down at him, its red eye burning with malice. Promising a world of hurt, Will charges in to end this. The monster swings wildly, but Will just zips out of reach. He lands with a sudden burst of icy energy. He is moving fast, repositioning before the next strike. He dodges a frantic flurry of attacks from the enraged beast. The creature is wearing a smug grin, loving every second. But here is where the tide turns. Watch closely. One massive blow sends our boy flying straight back. Completely outmatched in raw power, he stumbles for a second. He takes a few nasty cuts, bleeding across his arm. But he uses that momentum, sliding right back into range. He calls out the opening, his hand lighting up. A magic circle flares. It is time for the finisher. He slams his palm onto the monster's skull, unleashing a surge of life force overload directly into it. The spell hits the demon's heart, forcing it to go haywire. The monster screams as its own body turns against it. You can see the internal pressure building behind that eye. It is bulging out of the skull, ready to pop. And then the whole thing explodes in a shower of gore. Will just watches, looking completely unbothered by the mess. He lands gracefully as the carcass hits the floor. A perfect hero pose. Turns out he had this handled. Then he turns a corner to eavesdrop on her and another faculty member. He weaponized its own healing against it, forcing the creature to literally pop. There is no coming back from that. With the boss down, he conjures a fresh blade, ready to finish off. The remaining horde, the first goblin doesn't even register the movement before losing its head, while another one drops right at his feet without a struggle. Meanwhile, Marie has been having her own fun, standing tall over a massive pile of her handiwork. Will and his golem are already clearing out the rest, while Erica looks like she is about to collapse from pure exhaustion. But Marie is already in full celebration mode, dragging everyone into a group hug for their flawless teamwork until Will kills the vibe. Pointing toward the distance, a massive, swirling blue tornado is tearing right through the forest. Marie instantly recognizes it. As serious as high-level magic gets, so Will realizes this is their signal to link up with the other squads. Sure enough, they find a pretty boy with white hair at the center of it all, looking completely unfazed by the elemental chaos he just unleashed. And he is just casually glad to see everyone is safe. But the reunion gets cut short by a new guy stepping onto a goblin corpse, demanding to know where the hell the rest of the students are. Right on cue, Urine shows up with Erica's two deserter teammates in tow, explaining that the giant blue flare led him straight to them. He gives Will a proud pat on the back for a job well done, which our boy accepts with a rare, tiny smile of approval. But the big guy suddenly realizes they are still missing someone critical. Their professor, Veronica, is still out there somewhere, so Urine suggests they split up to track her down, a plan that has never failed before. So Will gets roped into the search party too, because of course he does. Alone in the woods, he cranks up his hearing to find her, but the skill is still pretty new, so he has to focus hard to pick out the subtle sounds. Just like that, he spots her, seemingly unharmed. In a clearing, he starts to call out to Professor Veronica, but he freezes when he sees her clutching a very suspicious-looking red crystal. This professor turns, and that gem, that nasty aura starts glowing again. Will's brain just short-circuits. It is the same light, the exact red moon energy from before. She tucks that glowing doob rock into her pocket, super casual, Turning around, she asks what he is doing way out here. Playing dumb, he quickly covers, says the training is over. He claims he was just sent out to find her. She just says okay and starts walking away, which is not reassuring at all, but he isn't letting her go. Shouting for her to wait, he demands to know what that stone was. Her answer is classic, super believable. It is nothing. That is the last straw. He calls her out for ditching students. He is shaking with anger, demanding she give him an answer. A small, chilling sigh is her only response for a moment. Then she draws a glowing blade, apologizing that she cannot be choosy. With a terrifying glare, she tells him to keep this discovery quiet. She shuts him down with a fake promise that everything is fine. A new purple-haired guy watches them go as Will admits he is powerless. See, the big problem is that Veronica was a trusted comrade. In his past life, he never even considered that she would betray him. Oh boy is pacing the halls, totally sleepless, wondering if she's compromised. Something about his past life just isn't adding up with this. He remembers seeing her meeting with that same shady guy before. There is no mistaking it. That was definitely her. Time for some spy work. He activates a presence suppression skill. Hiding behind a corner, he eavesdrops on her and another faculty member. Now pay close attention, here is where the plot starts to thicken. This guy approved her request to leave the academy. He asks where she is headed, and her answer is super vague. Personal business, she says, as she walks away, totally not suspicious. Will's brain immediately connects this to that creepy red stone. Looks like he has no choice but to tail her. Her path leads her right into the middle of a nearby town, with our boy trailing not too far behind, trying not to be seen. He admits he just started this dangerous game of cat and mouse. This guy approved her request to leave the academy. He asks where she's headed, and her answer is super vague. Just some personal business. She walks away, acting totally not suspicious. Will's brain immediately connects this to that creepy red stone, so it looks like he's got no choice but to tail her. Her path leads her right into the middle of a busy town, with our boy trailing not too far behind, trying his best not to be seen. He admits he just started his investigation, but now things get real. He's forced to listen as they casually debate his immediate future. He follows her on pure instinct, which leads to the awkward realization that if he's wrong, he's just a stalker, but the memory of that past tragedy means he can't back down now. He's holding out, hope that he can somehow clear her name. In all this, he realizes it's been ages since he was in this area, not since his past life, when he was just a fresh-faced healer shipped off to the front lines, and his memory zeroes in on a specific day with a certain someone. This mission apparently was for Veronica to buy some bread, not just any bread, mind you, but a perfectly steaming golden loaf, and a very confused Pascal asks if it's honey bread. He takes a bite, completely unprepared for the flavor explosion. His reaction is so pure that Veronica cannot help but smirk. Our boy tries to play it cool, asking if a city girl like her eats this stuff often, but she just says, it's a personal rule, see a bakery, you stop. Her life has been one long journey from business, trips to battlefields. She has seen too many people disappear or change for the worse, so her new motto is basically no regrets, because later is a lie. He finally understands why she's so blunt, it terrifies people, and she just casually drops that. She could die at any time, so why wait? It's not pessimism, she insists, just living life to the fullest. Then she turns the tables, pointing right at him, asking with a sly grin if he'll be the one to protect her. Our boy, completely flustered, just blurts out a definite yes, real smooth. Back in the present, that memory hits him right in the heart. He remembers letting Veronica die in his past life, vowing to save her this time, and he's going to uncover the truth with his own Two eyes, no matter what, which leads to him. Playing spy, tailing her through the city streets as she walks on, completely oblivious to her student stalker. She heads straight for a super shady archway. Nothing suspicious here, folks. He immediately powers up his present suppression, knowing this is bad, just as Veronica slips through a heavy gate into some dark, underground area. Our boy peeks in. She turns the corner to see a shadowy figure waiting for her. Hidden by the water in the darkness, he watches her approach. A cloaked man greets her, saying he has been waiting for quite a while. He apologizes for the sketchy sewer lair, claiming it is for an important talk. This is big. They're clearly planning something serious in the shadows. His hood falls back, revealing the same purple-haired creep from before. With a sleazy grin, he gets right to it and asks for the item. Veronica looks down for a second, a brief moment of hesitation there. Before she can move, the guy presents her with a glowing red crystal. The Doom Rock is back. He offers her the cursed-looking gem. His eyes gleam with malice, holding it up like a trophy. He calls it magnificent, launching into a true Beelzebub-level villain monologue. Then he praises her talent, and she just accepts the stone. From his hiding spot, Will overhears them talking about occult desire. The creep confirms it. They are one step closer to the Red Moon. That is all Will needs to hear to know his worst fears are true. Veronica and the purple-haired creep both whip around, sensing they are not alone. Will's stealth skill just wore off. Talk about perfect timing. Genius move, really. In a flash, she is on him with her blade already drawn, leaving our boy completely frozen, totally busted. He can only stammer out her name in pure disbelief. Meanwhile, she holds that sharp sword right to his throat. She confirms she knew he was there the whole time. Then a massive water dragon materializes behind her, for emphasis. That creep strolls over, scolding her for bringing a +1 to their meeting. He is being such a drama queen, acting all said she broke her promise. Veronica calls it an accident, her own blade still held at the ready. This guy's solution is simple, just kill the witness. The Order will accept that, he claims, like it is nothing. Will is forced to listen as they casually debate his immediate future. But she refuses, turning her sword on the creep instead. She claims it was just an investigation all along. He just scoffs, pretending to care about a precious student. Now on his feet, Will demands to know what is actually happening. She admits it was her mistake and starts to explain the situation. Back in the forest, she had sensed someone suspicious following her. But she refuses to hand him over, turning her sword on the creep. She claims it was an investigation. He just scoffs, pretending to care about a precious student. Now on his feet, Will demands to know what is actually happening. And here's the thing, he's not backing down until he gets answers. So she finally admits it's her mistake and starts to spill the truth. She remembers sensing something suspicious back in the forest. That day in the woods, she stumbled upon a berserk monster. The beast was tearing through the trees like they were paper. And right there on the ground, she spotted it, that same red stone. The moment she picks it up, she recognizes its sinister energy. Back in the forest, she gripped the stone, testing its power. She channeled her magic inside, making the thing pulse with life. It lit up like a cursed Christmas tree, intense, dangerous. That was the exact moment this purple-haired weirdo appeared. He seemed way too thrilled to find a potential new recruit, asking if this was destiny while she just wants answers. Who the hell is this guy? He just gives a sleazy grin. He claims his little club has rules, all part of the game. To get any real info, she has to agree to his special condition. The deal was simple, keep the rock glowing, meet him alone. A loyalty test. He even offers a fake apology for the trouble. What a gentleman, he really expected her to join his order. No questions asked, just walk in and sign her life away. Back in the present, she reveals this was an undercover sting. She thought her vague promise was enough to keep Will out of it. Will is sweating buckets while she admits her communication sucks. Our boy is just relieved, guessing that she is not evil after all. But this creep, he is having a full-on meltdown over her betrayal. Honestly, it is pathetic. With a dramatic flourish, he lets go. The red doom rock drops from his hand, destined for the water. He declares he has to dispose of her potential, then tosses it. We watch, realizing he just chucked the evidence into the sewer. Underwater, that crystal starts pulsing with a seriously nasty light. It summons a horde of red-eyed monsters from the dark depths. And just like that, the whole sewer becomes a surging tidal wave. A massive, multi-headed hydra erupts, ready to ruin everyone's day. Our purple-haired villain is thrilled, calling the power magnificent. What a psycho! Will just stares at that wall of water dragons, completely overwhelmed by the sheer numbers swarming toward them. Veronica counts 8 of them. Will, ever the hero, offers to take on half from the ground. She just shuts him down, no time for him to play the martyr. And just like that, the entire sewer is about to become a tidal wave. A massive, multi-headed hydra erupts from the depths, ready to ruin everyone's day, and our purple-haired villain. He's absolutely thrilled, calling this berserk display magnificent. What a total psycho! Will just stares at that wall of water dragons, completely overwhelmed by the sheer numbers. Veronica counts 8 of them. Will, ever the hero, offers to take on half from the ground. She shuts him down immediately. She hits him with a hard no, stay put, she orders. Then she charges in to clean up the mess herself. Her sword, flared with intense blue energy as she finally unleashes. A magic sword gale, slicing clean through the entire monster. Horde in one single, devastating sweep from the sidelines. Will can't help but smile, totally impressed by his professor's skills. But wait, Veronica's eyes go wide in alarm. Something is not right here. That decapitated dragon sprouts some nasty red flesh starting to regenerate right before their eyes. As she lands, Will checks if she is okay, but her focus is locked on the monster. She is in complete disbelief that it is still alive. It's insane regenerative, power-defying all logic. Those heads grow back instantly, a feat she knows is beyond any normal healing magic. Suddenly, something clicks. For Will, his own dagger is glowing, pulsing, with a strange, eerie light, with a dragon bearing down on him. He decides it is time to test a theory. He dodges a lunging strike, moving in close to the beast's side, preparing to strike. With his now glowing blade, this kid plunges his dagger deep into the monster's flank, and the creature immediately starts to dissolve. Looks like he found the off switch. Will's dagger sinks in, confirming the beast's body is surprisingly soft. And with that, he decides to just lift the whole damn thing, yelling for Veronica to get back while he tries out a crazy new plan. She actually agrees, just warning him not to be a complete idiot about it. Our boy just asked for permission to be a star, a little reckless before powering up, releasing his physical limiters with a ground-shattering stomp. He gets a solid grip on the giant blue tentacle, and then he just eats the entire creature, revealing it's a massive octopus with dragon heads. That makes Veronica realize why decapitation wasn't working, because the weak point wasn't the heads, it was the main body. This thing is an octodraco, and it looks super pissed off. Veronica is seriously impressed he figured that out so fast, but our purple-haired psycho is having a full-on pout session over this development. He starts monologuing. They are standing against the great will of his order. A cultist named Eric says he will handle them himself. His staff begins to glow with that familiar red doom energy. Will steps up, asking Veronica to take care of the monster. He argues her magic sword is better for its squishy body. She agrees with the logic but cannot bring herself to endanger a student. Will takes her hand, a silent promise that he has got this. With a flash of green magic, he casts a reinforcement spell on her. He gives her a hero smile, promising to wrap this up fast. Veronica is taken aback for a second, telling him to stay safe. A small smile reveals she is actually impressed by his nerve. She agrees to the plan, though she has one major concern. She turns to Will to explain who Eric probably is. But Will's shocked face shows he has already put the pieces together. Now watch this, he knows exactly who he is dealing with. She uses him as proof that it is not impossible. That is all he needs to hear, and our boy just bolts. He moves so fast the cultist is genuinely surprised. Eric just smirks, deciding to get serious with his own red doom magic. With his dagger flaring to life, Will closes in for the strike. He swings down with everything he has got, but the creep blocks it easily with his staff, stunning Will completely. This psycho just parries the blow, praising his potential mid-fight. His face is a mask of pure unhinged delight. As Will presses the attack, Eric dodges and fires off a hidden projectile. But it was a feint. Will's blade actually grazed his cheek. The villain proceeds to whine about how much it hurts. What a baby! Then he gets a nasty grin. He says he will heal it himself while Veronica explains the stone's magic. Realizing Eric is something else entirely, he drops a bomb. He is a battle healer, just like Will. He asks if our boy came up with that fighting style all by himself. Then he laughs, admitting he could never be that creative on his own. But with the teachings of the Order, even he can pull it off. His staff flares with power as he gets ready for a little demonstration. And Will just stares, realizing exactly what he is up against. Realizing Eric is something else entirely. Eru drops a total bomb. He's a battle healer, just like Will. He asks if our boy came up with that fighting style all by himself. Then he laughs, admitting he could never be that creative alone. But with the teachings of the Order, even he can pull it off. His staff flares with power as he gets ready for a demonstration. And Will just stares, realizing, contorting under the strain, turning his face into a fleshy nightmare. And he thinks it is just magnificent. A combat style for healers actually already existed. Talk about a gut punch after he thought he had to invent it alone. Eric pretends to be envious of his talent. What a total tool. He even offers to introduce Will to the Order's mysterious leader. He's making a hard pitch to join their shady cult. But Will isn't having it, standing his ground, refusing the offer. He vows he'll never be their comrade. With glowing red eyes, he makes it crystal clear, not even in his next life. Eric's face goes cold. So much for the friendly recruitment phase. Since Will won't join them, he'll just have to be eliminated. The cultist slams his staff down, unleashing a massive wave of energy. He lunges forward, screaming that Will has to die. Completely unhinged, but Will manages to block the strike with his dagger. Sparks are flying everywhere. Will is struggling, realizing Eric is using serious physical reinforcement. It all comes back to the Order and their cursed redstones. A final shot contrasting healing magic with raw offensive power. Our boy is just trying to wrap his head around all this new info. So he decides the fastest way to get answers is to just beat them out of this creep. He launches himself forward with everything he's got. Hoping to prevent some future tragedy, his eyes are locked on the target. As he closes in, he brings his dagger down for a decisive blow. Eric just casually parries the attack with his staff. He's acting like it's no big deal, even faking concern that he might lose. What a total troll. But then he whips out his ace, bragging that the Order has his back. He activates a power called physical corruption. That cannot be good. This cultist goes full-on demonic red as the power surges through him. His body is twisting and contorting under the strain. It turns his face into a literal fleshy nightmare. And he thinks it's just magnificent. This transformation gives him one seriously jacked up monster arm. It's glowing with pure red energy. Will knows this is way beyond normal reinforcement. He demands to know where he learned it. Eric just credits his favorite evil cult for the power-up. And then we get a look at what he's really become. This transformation gives him one seriously jacked up monster arm, glowing with a wicked red energy. Will knows this is way beyond normal reinforcement. demanding to know where he learned it. And Eric just credits his favorite evil cult for the power-up. Then we get it. A green fist slams right into Eric's gut. The cultist absolutely shrieks from the impact. The villain monologue, turns out, he used to be a nobody. Just some bored healer stuck in a low-level magic unit. Getting chewed out by his boss, he tries to act deep. He tells Will that eventually, he will understand the struggle. Claiming the world is just full of garbage people who are not even worth saving, he says. Then the Order gave him power and a real purpose. Handing over that first Doom Rock, Erot claims his life finally started to shine. What a twisted, sick perspective. But Will, he is not buying this pathetic sob story. He calls him out, telling him flat out he is wrong. Then he launches himself at the cultist, screaming about the dead. His dagger meets that monstrous arm, but Erot just laughs. He says it is fine because his precious Order says so. A truly bulletproof argument if you are completely insane. With that, he overpowers Will, slamming him hard into the pavement. Our boy is down, spitting up blood from the brutal impact. Erot gloats over him, declaring this is what justice looks like. But lying there, Will only thinks of everyone who died. Everyone who paid the price for this guy's massive ego trip. That seems to catch the psycho's attention for a second, because Will starts getting back up, much to Erot's surprise. This cultist cannot believe he is even moving after that. And just in time, Will's arm flares with his own magic. Those nasty wounds seal shut in a flash of green light. Now Erot is completely floored, wondering what kind of power this is. With his arm healed, Will quietly vows he will never forgive. Watch this, his eyes glow red with pure, focused rage. He promises pain worse than death. Yeah, he is officially pissed. So Erot decides to stop playing, vowing to kill him fast. But instead of the dagger, Will charges in with a fist. It is glowing with green energy, catching the cultist off guard. With a sudden burst of speed, he closes the distance. Will's glowing green fist slams right into Erot's gut. The cultist absolutely shrieks from the sheer force of it. Totally unprepared, our boy just smirks at the guy. He tells him not to cry over a little punch, promising he has got a whole lot more of those coming. And before Erot can even process it, Will goes for more. Totally unprepared, our boy just smirks, telling him not to cry over a little punch, promising that he has got a whole lot more of those coming. Before Eric can even process it, to share all his little cult secrets. But the cultist tries to resist. Will's got him by the throat and immediately follows up with a punch that rearranges his entire face. A brutal uppercut sends the villain airborne, launching him straight through a solid stone pillar. This psycho is down for the count, lying there like a bloody mess in the middle of the rubble. Will just casually dusts himself off, deciding he'll save the interrogation for a little bit later. Then he remembers his partner, feeling a sudden pang of worrying about Professor Veronica. Turns out, she's handling her side of the fight just fine, eyes glowing with pure focus. She prepares a final strike, unleashing a massive wave of energy from her glowing magic sword. It's a flashy little move she calls Magic Sword Flash. A moment later, they're walking past the Octodraco's remains. Looks like calamari for everyone. She checks in, asking if he's all done playing around with his new friend. Will admits the monster's regeneration was a real pain, but he knows who the true threat was. With the beast finally handled, Will gets a dead serious look on his face. He grabs the unconscious cultist, ready for a little wake-up call. Now watch this. It is officially interrogation time. Will leans in with a psycho smile, asking Eric to start spilling the beans. Suddenly, our boy's expression goes completely cold, ready to drag some answers out of him. A quick slap to the face serves as a rude awakening, and he asks for the cult's secrets again. The guy tries to resist, so Will slams his head back and puts a dagger right to his throat, just to make his point crystal clear, and just like that, the guy becomes a lot more cooperative. Hands up in surrender, while Will tells him to relax. Whether this gets ugly is entirely up to him. He's got a mountain of questions, starting with exactly what the Order is planning. But Eric just starts spouting the company line, claiming that true believers do not talk. Then the psycho cultist actually grabs the dagger himself, vowing to offer his life for the cause. He proceeds to slit his own throat, screaming their twisted slogan on his way out. Will gets a face full of blood, completely stunned by this sudden turn of events. The fanatic falls back, thinking he's some kind of hero for protecting their dark secrets. He even dies with a smile on his face, convinced he's off to meet his glorious end. So Will just slams his head back, then puts a dagger to his throat just to make the point crystal clear. Suddenly, the guy is a lot more cooperative, hands up in surrender, while Will tells him to relax. Whether this gets ugly is entirely up to him. He has got a mountain of questions, starting with the Order's goals. But Eric starts spouting the company line. Believers do not talk. Then the psycho just grabs the dagger himself, vowing to offer his life for his precious cult, and proceeds to take his own life right in front of them. He screams their slogan and slits his own throat. On his way out, Will get sprayed with a face full of blood. He stands there, completely stunned by the sudden turn of events. The fanatic falls backward, genuinely thinking he is a hero. Dying with a smile, he thinks he is protecting their secrets. Convinced he is off to meet his glorious masters, Will keeps a surprisingly clear head even with everything falling apart. Eric asks for air. That fatal slash on his neck is gone. The guy is totally losing his mind. He was so certain he just died. Will calmly admits he actually underestimated the cultist's faith, which is just a cold way of saying I healed you. Will drops the coldest line ever. I healed you. Eric is in complete denial, but Will explains that being almost dead is fixable for him. The cultist completely loses it, screaming that no ordinary healer could pull something like that off. And he is right, Will is far from ordinary. He is aiming to be the world's greatest healer, period. This means Will can bring him to the brink and back, over and over again. The dawning horror on Eric's face is absolutely priceless. Sweat pours down as the sheer terror of his reality sinks in. With a cheerful smile, Will asks if he is ready to talk. Eric seems to accept defeat. He has no other choice. But then his eyes start glowing. Oh no, that is definitely not a yes face. Some invisible force starts dragging his body backward. Even Eric looks shocked by what is happening. He starts leaking this weird fluid, losing all control. It catches Will totally off guard. This was not the plan. Now the cultist is crying tears of blue light, screaming in agony. Veronica yells for Will to get away fast. Eric's body is violently thrown back, beginning to convulse. Then a massive torrent of dark energy erupts. Veronica has to physically drag Will out of the blast radius. Eric just dissolves into smoke, screaming his lungs out. Looks like a built-in self-destruct mechanism. Veronica can only watch in shock. Will sprints toward the exploding cultist. He is not giving up his lead, trying to heal the guy mid-disintegration, pouring everything into a last-ditch spell, begging the psycho not to die. Talk about having your priorities twisted. It is no use though, the guy's life force completely fizzles out. Will realizes it is over. But our boy is not giving up his only lead just yet. Will tries to heal the guy mid-disintegration, pouring everything he has into a last-ditch healing spell, begging the psycho not to die. Talk about strange priorities. It is no use though, as the guy's life force just fades. And here is where it gets worse. Will realizes the truth. Must have been some kind of insane, high-level self-destruct. A real curse, now that the fireworks have finally died down. Veronica checks in on him immediately, making sure he's not hurt. She tells him his safety is all that matters right now. Even though their only informant just melted into a grin, she decides it's time to pack it up and head back to base. Walking through town later, Will is still brooding over it, frustrated that they learned absolutely nothing useful from all that. Veronica corrects him, just confirming the order exists is a massive win. He has to admit she's right. It's more progress than he ever managed in his past life. Then she gets a sly look, ready to change the subject entirely. She says she's pretty glad she decided to tag along for this field training. After all, a quick flashback shows the truth. She basically forced her way onto the mission just because she was genuinely worried about him. So it finally dawns on Will she wasn't even investigating the cult. She was just being a concerned teacher. He pivots to a question that's been bugging him. How on earth can she actually use static mana? She gives a super vague answer about her merchant family background, which, honestly, explains absolutely nothing. Oh boy, isn't buying it, her magic is way too advanced. But she just plays dumb. He's still thinking it over, knowing there's way more to her story than she's letting on. A faint memory surfaces of someone else talking about this stuff, back when he was still just a kid. Will's mind is racing, trying to figure out who's pulling the strings. But Veronica cuts through his brooding with a brilliant idea. Let's get some bread. The kid is just stunned silent by the offer. Priorities, right? But his answer is a resounding yes who says no to carbs. Leaving the big mystery for later, they enjoy a snack. Will feels like he's on the right track, finally, though he immediately gets chewed out for his little unsanctioned field trip. Elsewhere in a fancy, dimly lit office, a girl approaches a man sitting at his desk. This blonde guy is looking rough, bleeding from the mouth and clearly injured. A closer look reveals the damage. 2 nasty puncture wounds on his neck, looking suspiciously like a bite. As a creepy magic snake slithers, he delivers the news that their hardworking guy, Irid, is dead. Turns out the snake belongs to the girl standing right there. She calmly volunteers to take over the mission. She holds up a glowing red gem. She smiles, saying it is a direct order from the Order.